I wish it were this time tomorrow.
Darling, if you'd rather, we'll get married by a policeman tonight.
Oh, no. We'll do it right and proper. Excited, darling?
A little.
What?
A lot.
You know, the first time I ever kissed you was in this room. Wasn't it?
Was it?
Well, good Lord, I thought it was. Maybe it wasn't.
Well, I don't remember either, but I love you for trying to remember.
I do remember. Everywhere I look, I seem to see a Mary doing something or other.
Sort of like spots in front of your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mary, age 15, making everything about Latin very clear.
But I couldn't do it now.
Mary is Juliet, age 17.
16? Paula made me be Juliet. I think I would have been much better as Queen Elizabeth.
Still, I rather like Juliet, especially in the solarium, sneaking a cigarette.
Oh, Dill, thanks for the flowers.
They got here all right?
Especially the cornflowers.
I didn't send any cornflowers.
I wouldn't admit it either if I were you.
Admit what?
Jeff will hound you to your dying day, sending your bride cornflowers.
I thought I sent orchids. I give up.
Hello.
Connie.
How are you, Dill? Dolly said I'd find you in here.
I thought you were in Paris, Connie.
Yes, I was a week ago.
Oh, yes.
Well, I can't keep you in the dark any longer, Miss Barnes. I'm Mary Clay.
I knew you were the minute I looked at you. I must apologize for breaking in like this.
Oh, no, we're delighted. It's open house. Besides, I feel Dill owes many of his friends an apology. You know, for marrying a strange woman they know nothing about. Won't you take off your things?
Oh, I can only stay a minute. I've still wanted to meet you, Miss Clay, but it seems as though you travel as much as I do.
Well, I've come and gone. I returned last month for my wedding.
Yes, I heard about it in Paris. You're a clever girl, Miss Clay, for putting Dill through his paces. He always said he hated big weddings. The experience will do him good.
Oh, it's just me, dear. Only 2 bridesmaids and Paula, my maid of honor.
Well, can I do anything to help?
Yes, come and see it tomorrow. Well, will you two excuse me a minute?
Certainly. Well, Dill, here we are.
When did you get back, Connie?
This morning. Perfectly heavenly crossing. I think we broke a record or something.
Staying a while?
Oh, perhaps. I haven't made any real plans. I just decided all of a sudden to sail, so I sailed. How are you, Dill?
You shouldn't have come here, Connie. You know that.
I came because I wanted to see you. To get, shall I say, one last glimpse. And I thought there might be a bare chance that you would like to see me.
Well, I don't want to see you.
Why, Dill, you're cruel.
Stop it. It doesn't matter to you. Nothing has ever mattered to you.
You did, Dill.
You never meant it. Any of it.
Not even Sorrento?
Not even Sorrento.
Dill.
Yes?
I did mean it at Sorrento. And in Switzerland, too. Remember that divine little village in the Alps?
I really think you'd better go.
Just as you say. Dill,
Yes?
are you in love?
Utterly?
Happy?
For the first time in my life.
Honeymooning?
Of course.
Continent?
No, London.
Oh, dear, but why London? It's so cold and so gray.
I like London. Mary likes London.
Well, I guess it's London. But if you should happen to get over to Italy...
We won't.
But just in case London does seem a little too gray and too cold, and you wanted to see what sunshine was like, and you suddenly found yourself in Italy, would you do something for me?
What?
Would you look across that beautiful bay and up at the smoke plumes of Vesuvius and think of me? Of you? Of us? Just once?
But we are not going to Sorrento.
Well, that's that. Goodbye, Dill. No hard feelings and bon voyage.
Goodbye, Connie.
Must you go so soon, Miss Barnes?
Oh, I'm sorry. I really can't stay. And you must have at least a dozen things to do.
At least. But they can wait.
Oh, no, I've really got to run. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh, dear, why don't you drop Miss Barnes off?
Oh, no, I wouldn't think of it. I'll be all right. Goodbye, Dill.
Well, that was a little unexpected. Do you mind?
Why, of course I don't, darling. Why should I?
Oh, Mary.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Come on in, Jeff.
I just wanted to tell you that everybody's gone. I'm on my way now.
Oh, don't go. Let's sit around and talk. The 3 of us.
No, I can't, Mary. I don't know about you, but I've got a big day ahead of me tomorrow.
Oh.
Well, see you in church, Miss Clay.
See you in church, Mr. Tingle. Rain. Wouldn't you just know it? Rain for a wedding. Oh, stop crying, Paula. Rain's lucky for me. The side door driver.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, look at the crowd going in the church. All for me. Oh, Paula, in all my life, I've never had such a fuss made over me. I love it. Hurry up, driver. thought you'd never arrive. It's a fine way to treat your bride. Calm down, darlings. Take your cue from Mary. Hello, Jeff.
Oh, you're here.
What's the matter? Wasn't I supposed to come today? How's Dill feeling?
Well, I don't know.
What? The best man doesn't
Just
know...
don't get excited. I'll be right back.
What's wrong with him? Well, why don't we start? What is that woman singing for? They ought to be playing the wedding march. The sweetest story ever told. Paula, did you tell that soprano to sing the sweetest story ever told? No, dear. Well, neither did I, and I loathed it. Oh, this hat. May I sit down? No. Quick, everybody. Who goes Paula? Paula, am I all right? Do I look all right? Listen. Well, here we go. I'm weak. My knees are buckling. Isn't it? Dorothy, start. Goodbye, everybody.
Wait. Mary, don't go out there yet.
Why, Jeff, are you crazy?
Mary, Who told him to start that thing? Tell him to stop. Stop the music.
Why, Jeff, is it Dill? Is he sick?
No, he's married.
No. What? Did you say married, Jeff?
Yes, Mary.
Married to whom?
Connie Barnes.
To Connie Barnes?
Yes.
Oh, shut up, everybody.
Well,
Jeff,
steady, Mary.
Oh, it's all right. I'm not going to faint. Tell me.
It's true, Mary. Dill wired my house. The boy just brought it. I had the woman sing to store for time.
The sweetest story ever told.
Mary.
It said he was sorry, didn't it?
Oh, yes.
You poor darling. Oh, yes, I'm sure he's sorry. So am I. It's one of those things you'd like to see happen to somebody else. Like a fat lady on a banana peeling.
Oh, Mary, I'm so sorry for you.
Well, we're leaving at once. Tell the papers that. Tell them that Mary Clay decided at the last minute she didn't wish to marry. Jeff, put these lilies in water for me. I might want to get married again sometime. Will someone get Jeff a pitcher or a bucket? There's plenty of water outdoors.
Let's go, Mary. They're sending the crowd away. Let's get ahead of it.
Wait. The benediction. Hold open the door so I can hear.
No, please.
Well, then I'll hold it open myself.
And the ceremony will be indefinitely postponed. Miss Mary Clay will not be married to Mr. Dylan Todd today.
Miss Mary Clay will not be married to Mr. Dylan Todd today. Sounds funny, doesn't it? And I always thought that rain was lucky for me.
That ends Act One of tonight's Lux Radio Theater play, Forsaking All Others, with Betty Davis and Joel McRae. We go on to Act Two in a moment. Meanwhile, during our intermission, we have a new game we'd like you to play with us. It's called Last Word Up. Here's how it's played. We've asked a young lady to read a piece to you. The game is that you pick out the last word in every sentence she reads, like this.
I am very anxious to stay beautiful.
The last word in that sentence was beautiful. Remember, pick out the last word in every sentence. Place them together in the order in which they appear, and you'll find they themselves make a complete sentence. See what that sentence is. Ready? Let's go. Sentence 1.
You will notice the most popular girls are always dainty.
Sentence 2.
Daintiness, the most appealing charm of all, should be on the beauty program of all girls.
Sentence 3.
It's a charm they all can have, and one they can keep through the years. In fact, always.
Sentence 4.
It's romance women really want, and the girls who are dainty usually win.
Sentence 5.
But remember, the girl who neglects this charm loses out.
And that's all. Now let's see if we have the right last words up. My little pad reads, dainty girls always win out. Famous screen stars will tell you that's the truth. For instance, here's what the lovely Loretta Young says. No smart girl neglects daintiness. Unless a girl has it, no other charm counts. Use Lux toilet soap as a beauty bath. Its active lather leaves skin really fresh and sweet, delicately fragrant, too. It's the best way I know to ensure daintiness. You'll love it. And thousands of girls everywhere have found from experience that what Loretta Young says is true. It pays to be exquisitely dainty with gentle, fragrant Lux toilet soap. Now, our producer, Mr. DeMille.
We continue with Forsaking All Others, starring Betty Davis and Joel McRae. It's the following afternoon. Trying bravely to hide her real feelings, Mary is entertaining again at her home, passing the whole affair off as a joke on herself. But there's desperation in her bravery and bitterness in her laughter. Jeff Tingle has just arrived at the house. Still wearing his coat, he stands at the telephone, speaking to his secretary.
Hello. Miss Kramer? Mr. Tingle, is everything all right down there? Ah, it's fine. Now, just between you and me, is there any use in my coming down to the office today? Or tomorrow? I didn't think so either. Goodbye. Oh, Dent.
Yes, sir?
When that gentleman arrives,
I'll show him to the library.
Good.
Yes, sir. Shall I take your coat, sir? Miss Clay is in the sitting room.
Thanks.
Jeff, darling, come and join the party. We're celebrating my sudden release from matrimony.
You're looking very lovely, Mary.
Thank you. The frock is from my trousseau. I had it fumigated. Sit down.
I called you late last night. Why didn't you answer?
Because I wanted to unpack my trunks and get settled. Oh, then I was tired, so I went to bed after writing a few checks for the monthly bills, and I read myself to sleep on a book that Dill and I received as a wedding present. Being very careful about finger marks, of course, since back it goes. Finally, I put the book down and went to sleep.
Did you have a good sleep?
Best in years.
Must have been a good book.
It was rather nice. I'm going to buy it someday.
I'd like to speak to you, Mary. May I?
Of course. We can go in the library. My ambassadors of goodwill in there, Jeff. They all came to see what a jilted lady looks like.
You're putting on a good show.
Thanks.
Well, they're married, all right.
How romantic.
Justice of the peace, 11 o'clock yesterday
Oh,
morning.
don't spare a thing, Jefferson. What did the bride wear?
I don't know, but knowing Connie Barnes, I'd say something clinging and trailing.
Yes, I imagine so. Oh, Jeff, why did he do it?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out.
I have too, all night, all morning.
You're doing swell, Mary.
Jeff, do you hate being told to move on? If you're in some place that you think is all right for you to be, and somebody comes up very roughly and tells you to move on, that's how I feel. Ordered to take my little picnic basket in hand and get out of somebody's private property. I want to go away. I want to go away and hide. But I'm not going to. I'm going to stay and have a big time as if nothing had happened. Jeff, never again as long as I live will I laugh when the gentleman kicks the lady comedian. What is it, Dent?
For Mr. Tingle, Miss Mary.
The gentleman. Oh, all right, then. Thank you.
Yes, sir?
What was that all about?
Mary, Bill's here.
What?
You've got to see him.
Who says so?
I do.
What does he want?
I'll let him tell you. I only spoke to him on the phone, but I promised I'd fix it so you'd see him. Your whole life may depend on this.
How can it possibly?
Please, Mary, for me. I'll send him in. All right, Bill. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks. Mary,
Yes, I'm still Mary. Remember me?
it's hard to explain what I did, but
Why do you try? What makes you think I want an explanation?
I must make some attempt to...
Justify what you did.
No, that isn't possible.
Or perhaps you want to be forgiven. All right, I forgive you. So what?
Jeff said you'd see me. Allow me to talk.
Well, you're talking. Go on.
Mary, you've always been a reasonable person.
Have I?
You've always been fair and just.
And generous. That's a good word, too.
Please, these aren't just words. Believe me, I know. I appreciate what I've done. I played you the meanest trick. I know all that. I only want to tell you it was my loss, too.
Two? Who else has lost? Have I? Oh, I was humiliated, embarrassed, naturally. But think what I escaped. Why, I almost married you. Oh, that's something to be grateful for. You know, like missing a train that was wrecked.
You don't mean that.
Don't I?
You can't, no matter what I've done. I know, and you may laugh at me for saying so, but I love you. I've never stopped loving you.
Love? All right, maybe you do love me. What's that got to do with it? Perhaps I love you, too. Yes, I think I do. I think I am in love with you. That doesn't mean I want to be. If I stay in a dark room and do as the doctor says and take plenty of nourishment, I'll get over it.
Mary, listen to me. I haven't slept. All night long I've walked the streets. I don't want... Oh, I know this is a rotten thing to say, but I need you. It's you I want, not Connie.
Oh, Dill. Can't you be loyal with anyone?
What do you mean?
Well, you're married to her, aren't you? Now I think you'd better go.
All right. All right, Mary.
Doesn't want Connie. What's a fine time to think of that? Keeping me waiting at a church all day and... Oh, no.
Mary. Here, have a cigarette. Light?
Thanks. Well, Well, why don't you ask me what happened?
I don't have to. I saw Dill's face on the way out.
You know, Jefferson, I can almost tolerate myself again. I've said things that I didn't know I could. Horrible, mean things. And it felt so good. And you know, you're going to take me out to dinner tonight, Jefferson. I want a good dinner and I want to dance.
Dinner?
Mm-hmm. With you and Shep and Paula and anyone else who'd like to come.
I see. I'm Papa.
I'll wear my new white evening dress.
Who are you trying to make jealous?
Oh, Jefferson, now girls don't do that sort of thing anymore. But you can send me flowers if you like. Heaps and heaps of them.
No. Nothing doing. I sent them already.
Jefferson Tingle, you never sent me flowers in all your born days.
No? Well, it so happens that the day before yesterday I sent you some cornflowers. But you've probably forgotten. Well, I'll see you tonight.
Why, Jefferson Tingle.
I tried to get her to come. I said, Mary wants you to come, Paula. But she said she was just too upset.
There, what do you think of that, Jeff? I'm jilted at the altar, and Paula is so upset she can't come.
Iron nerves, Mary. What do you say we have something to eat? I'm hungry.
Don't be common, Mr. Tingle.
What about a steak all around?
And what else do they have? Steak.
I'll have a steak, please, Mr. Tingle.
Very good, Miss Clay. Anything else you'd like?
Yes, a smile, Mr. Tingle.
A smile? How's this?
Gruesome.
Well, I'm sorry, but that's the best I can do.
So what's the matter with you, Jeff? We're supposed to be on a party.
Yes, whoopee! We ought to have noisemakers.
Mary, you're beautiful tonight.
Thank you, sir.
If you ask me, Mr. Dillon Todd is a dope.
Who asked you?
Well, don't you think he was a dope?
I try never to think about anything.
Yeah, well, that's nice. That's loyalty.
Yeah, well,
I
Stop
still
it,
think
stop
he's a dope.
it,
So
stop
do you.
it. I won't have you men quarreling over Carlotta, the dance hall girl. She isn't good enough.
Well, I'll have my steak rare. What about you, Mary?
That guy is hopeless, Mary. That's all. He's hopeless.
Good evening, Miss Barnes.
Oh, good evening, Alfred.
We haven't seen you for a long time, Miss Barnes.
I've been away. Is Mr. Todd here tonight?
No, I haven't seen him, but will you wait?
Yes, give me a table, please. A quiet one, Alfred.
Right this way, Miss Barnes.
Shep, you're marvelous. I'm glad you brought him, Jeff.
Just Papa, that's all.
Look,
What's the matter, Mary?
am I hysterical or is that really Connie Barnes coming through that door?
It's Connie, all right.
Connie Barnes. She's heading right for us.
Oh, let's get out of here. I don't want to see her.
We can go upstairs. Come on.
No, I won't. I haven't done a thing to be ashamed of. Sit tight, Mary.
Mary, if I were you, I wouldn't go looking for trouble.
Why, Connie, how do you do?
Oh, good evening.
Well, hello, Connie.
Oh, Connie.
Hello, I was looking for... I told Dill I'd meet him here.
We've just ordered. Won't you join us?
Why,
Oh, we'd love to have you, wouldn't we, Jeff?
What? Oh, yes, delighted.
We're celebrating. Paula couldn't come, so you can have Chef Connie.
well, thank you. That's very sweet.
Sit down, won't you? Sit down, Shep. Sit down, Jeff. You're not going to stand up all evening, are you?
We'll clear the ring when we hear the gong.
Oh, shut up. Sit down.
Well, if you think it's safe, have a seat near the door, Shep.
Thanks.
I know what you all must be thinking.
Yeah? You're good.
Jeff, please.
Miss Clay, I'm glad we had this chance meeting. I feel there's some sort of explanation, do you?
Explanation?
Yes, it was really unfortunate. I mean that our marriage should have to be at such a time.
Yes, it was a bit inopportuno.
I'm so sorry. I really blame Dill. He knew how it was with us.
And just forgot for a time.
Yes. And you are attractive, Mary. May I call you Mary? I can imagine Dill found you hard to resist.
Hard, but not impossible.
But it's not Dill I'm concerned about.
No.
After all, you're the one who
lost.
Well, it amounts to just that, doesn't it?
Really, you're not flattering me, Mrs. Todd.
That's it, Shep, outside the ropes.
Let's go.
Can't we look at this thing impersonally?
Oh, of course. I'll be Exhibit A.
I like your saying that. To carry out the idea, I'll be Exhibit B.
And Dill Exhibit C.
It's the new World's Fair, Shep. I'll sell you the popcorn concession.
Oh, Jeff.
I know you grew up with Dill. You were taking your marriage as a matter of course, just one of those things.
A love match.
I don't doubt your sincerity, Mary. But I should have married Dill a year ago.
Oh, what's a year, more or less?
When I heard he was going to marry you, I knew suddenly that I had to see Dill again. To know once and for all if he was important to me. Any woman would have done the same.
But not so successfully.
Do I detect a note of sarcasm?
Oh, not a bit. Oh, you have my best wishes. And so has the bridegroom.
Thank you. I wish you'd say that to Dill yourself. Heaven knows I want you to be friends with Dill. I know you can be. I think you're good for certain things in his disposition. Dill is accustomed to going to you. He needs you.
Well, he said he needed me.
Yes?
Yes, he said he needed me this afternoon.
This afternoon? Dill saw you this afternoon?
Yes, for the very thing you said, because he needed me.
Well, you two had a lot to talk about if Dill went to you.
Oh, I think he stopped by the church first to see if she was still waiting.
I see. It's not pleasant to be left waiting.
You should know, Mrs. Todd.
Really, should I?
When did you see Dill last?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, shortly after the wedding, wasn't it? Nearly 2 days. It's a long time for a bride of 2 hours.
How do you know that?
Dill told me.
You've seen? You know where he is? Where is he?
My house.
Where's that?
I've moved.
Answer me. Jeff, what have you planned, all of you? What have you planned?
It's not pleasant to be kept waiting.
Are you insinuating that
Oh, Connie, Jeff, please now don't quarrel for my sake. Fighting in a restaurant, it's vulgar.
What have you and Dylan planned?
Nothing.
Good. Because Dill and I understand each other. Why, this will all blow over. I know all about your childhood sweetheart. But now he's mine.
He's nobody's. He belongs to himself like any decent human being.
I think I can speak for Dill in that matter.
I resent that. I resent it for Dill.
You might ask him how much he resented what I said night before last.
Oh, you can't hurt me, Connie. Tell me what you said. Or shall I tell you? She'll make you such a good wife. That's what you said. A sweet girl. Go on, marry her, Dill. Forget me and better not think of the things that might have been. That's what you said, Connie. Well, probably not as plain as that, but with the same meaning. Hail and farewell, you said. No, don't kiss me, Dill. Remember Mary, poor dear Mary. And you swept him in with your tenderness. Oh, how beautifully you do it. And once again, the world was lost for love.
And it always will be. You'd better learn that.
Rose or pink at your wedding, Connie? Which did you wear? Or blue or green or black or white?
Whatever I wore, it suited the occasion. A grown-up occasion and not for little girls. Good night, Miss Clay.
And good night to you, Mrs. Todd.
Well, you won.
Yes. Yes, I won. But for some reason it tasted a little bitter. Shall we dance, Mr. Tingle?
Delighted, Miss Clay. Excuse us, will you, Chef?
Have a good time, children.
Jeff, tell me, is it true what you said before she hasn't seen Dill?
Not since
He told you?
he went to my house when he left you.
Then at least he meant what he said to me.
He's been miserable, Mary.
Oh, has he? Are you going to tell me that-
Nothing. He deserves it.
Oh, let's stop, shall we? I don't feel like dancing.
Come on back to the table.
I'm sorry, Jeff. I guess I'm just all over.
Mary.
Dill, what are you doing here?
Mary, I couldn't stay away. I've got to speak to you.
Did you tell him to come here, Jeff?
Well, I told him you'd be here.
Why?
Well, he asked me and I told him, that's all.
Well, I guess I'd better wait outside.
No, Shep, stay where you are. You too, Jeff. He can talk as much as he likes. Well,
Thanks. I won't take long, and I'll try not to embarrass anybody. It's just that I've got to say this.
yes.
It started a year ago.
With Connie?
Yes, in Europe. I saw her for months. Then as suddenly as she came into my life, she went out of it. I felt disloyal to you even then. You see, I'd never thought of anyone but you since I was a kid. But something happened to me. I was fascinated, I guess. When I left for home, I promised her that... Mary, try to understand me. I was insanely in love with her. It didn't last. When I saw you again, my love for her seemed... well, it was unreal. That's all.
That's all. Is that the story you wanted to tell?
Wait a minute, Jeff.
She called me the night before our wedding. She was a little hysterical. She said she had to see me right away. I said I couldn't see her, that I wouldn't. Then I got to worrying. I thought I'd better go. Finally, I took her for a long drive up the Hudson. We talked and talked until morning. Just at dawn, we stopped and watched the sun come up from the Palisades. She told me she loved me over and over again. She was crying a little. I was confused and bewildered. And having her so near, well, I lost my head. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Mary, but I had to tell you the truth.
Well, your truth comes a little late, doesn't it?
Jeff.
You lost your head, huh? Getting married's a pretty deliberate action.
Jeff, this is my affair.
Take it easy, Jeff.
We did get married. Then for the first time, I realized what I'd done. We left the Justice of the Peace office, and it seemed to me like I was just coming out of a dream. I left her.
You left her? Then?
Yes, in the car. I took the train. I was crazy, Mary.
You left her. Then.
Mary, you do believe me, don't you? Say you do, please. I can't spend another night like last night.
You can't? Well, what about her?
Never mind about me.
Never mind you. Good Lord, Mary, there's a limit.
Yes, and there's a limit to what I can stand. He's sorry, isn't he? You heard him say that.
Yes, I know.
Well, that's enough. I don't care what he's done. I love him, do you hear? And he loves me.
I do, Mary. Believe
What if he
me.
did let me down?
I'm sorry, Mary.
Oh, I'm sorry, too. I love you, Dill. I love you.
Oh, Mary.
Well, that's that. Shep, may I have the honor of this dance?
We pause for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
We have finished the second act of Forsaking All Others. And now, before going into Act 3, we observe our custom of bringing you one of the backstage personalities of motion pictures. Among other things, Hollywood is noted for providing more strange occupations than any other town in the world. On our payroll are cobweb spinners, echo testers, fly chasers, professional screamers, and telephone cord untwisters. We meet one of these odd jobbers now. Her name is Kathleen Coghlan, and we call her our fan magazine contact. Kathleen gets paid for digging up unusual facts and ideas about the stars to be used in various screen magazines.
In other words, Mr. DeMille, my job is to find new angles on Paramount personalities, new slants that are news.
From the women's point of view?
Oh, no, from the man's point of view, too. Almost half our fan mail comes from men. That's why the fan magazines print so many success stories. That's the type the men like to read. And then there are those which appeal to both men and women, stories with what we call a problem slant. For example, the personal handicaps which many stars have had to overcome.
Meaning whom, Miss Coghlan?
Meaning Fred McMurray. To see Fred today on the set of Coconut Grove, you would never suspect that he used to be so shy he'd go into a panic every time he had to meet people. He cured himself by centering his attention on other people and so developed his present easy manner. How he did it furnishes an interesting story.
Still, I presume that today, as since the dawn of time, the type of story that interests a woman is a love story.
Correct. But she's interested in the love stories of the stars for much more than a curiosity angle. You see, that woman has a Robert Taylor or a Clark Gable or a Tyrone Power of her own, someone she wants to fascinate and keep enchanted. And so we found that a reader's main interest in the love story of an actress is to learn the means by which that actress succeeded in her Hollywood romance. Hollywood, you see, has become a school, teaching a widely diversified list of subjects, and with all the world as its pupils. It's become a sort of national proving grounds, and that's why I think the sponsors of this program are to be congratulated on their product. The fact that Lux toilet soap is so popular with the stars can be taken by every girl as adequate proof that it must be about the finest complexion care obtainable. I've seen Lux soap in the dressing rooms and homes of any number of stars, actresses who could afford to spend almost any amount of money.
Thanks for telling us that, Kathleen. But your job is to get good ideas for fan magazines. The 14 of them that appear every month have a combined circulation of 10 million. Each one prints about 10 articles, which means that out of somewhere must arise 140 ideas every 30 days. Where do they come from?
Well, take that recent article called The Story of Claudette Colbert's Second Honeymoon, which appeared in Photoplay magazine while Claudette was making Bluebeard's eighth wife. In reality, that story outlines her plans for a trip she's now on in Europe. That in itself wouldn't make what we'd call hot copy, but it suddenly became warm when Miss Colbert dropped a stray remark that she hadn't had a honeymoon because she'd been so busy making pictures. Then and there we had the basis for an article that would interest thousands, again because it could be applied to themselves. All brides, of course, don't have to hurry back home to make motion pictures, but all of them in their hearts want the romance of a honeymoon, even if it's only a 2-week vacation. That's why such a story is so successful.
But do our leading stars welcome interviews of that nature?
Every star will give a good interview if the conditions are right. Conditions are right for Fred McMurray when he comes into my office, drops down in my chair, and props his feet up on the desk. Carol Lombard is highly conversational in a noisy atmosphere and talks most on the set between scenes. Irene Dunn prefers to wait until her picture is finished and then will entertain graciously at home for the interviewer. Gary Cooper is most uncomfortable when an interview has been planned for him. He's much more helpful if you can arrange to just bump into him. In fact, Gary gave the finest interview of his career, basking in the sun on a pile of old lumber. There's a little tip for the next time Gary appears in the Lux Radio Theater. Thanks, Mr. DeMille, for interviewing an interviewer.
Thanks for the starlight, Kathleen. Betty Davis and Joel McRae return to us in Forsaking All Others. One month has passed, and Dylan Todd is in Mexico to free himself from Connie. Jeff, always the good friend, has gone along to keep him company and stands by the window of their hotel room, looking across the little town.
Well, tomorrow's the day. Hey, Jeff.
I
said tomorrow's the day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Are you sure?
That lawyer said positively. Final papers and everything. Lord, I'll be glad to get out of here.
Why, it's not such a bad place.
What are you talking about? You've been beefing about it for a month. Now we're going home, you suddenly take a liking to it. Just the same, we're catching that train tomorrow afternoon.
Well, I'll tell you what, dear. Would you mind very much if you went alone? I think I'd like to stay on here for a while.
What for?
Well, just for a few weeks. I think I'd like it.
You're crazy. Why, if you stay... You won't even make the wedding. Mary would kill you.
No, I'll make it all right.
You'd better. You're still best man, you know.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I thought maybe you'd pick Shep.
What's the matter? Don't you want to be best man?
Well, if it's all the same to you, Dill, I think everything ought to be, different. You mind?
No. No, of course not. I guess I know what you mean. It will be different, too.
Sure it will.
Well, I think I'll shoot an airmail to Mary. Shall I give her your love?
Oh, yes, do that, will you? Hello, Dent.
Mr. Tingle, welcome back, sir.
Thanks. Am I expected?
Oh, yes, sir. I heard Mr. Todd say you'd probably be here today.
Jeff!
Hello, Mary.
Jeff, you finally got here. I was ready to kill you. Do you know I'm getting married tomorrow?
Same place, same piano, same crowd, same wedding.
Same Jeff.
It's good to be back.
Come on, I want to speak to you. Now tell me all about yourself.
No, there's nothing much to tell.
How was Mexico? How are you?
Feeble.
Let me look at you. Jeff, you're thinner.
No, I got too much sleep down there.
Well, you didn't dare sleep before you reported here.
No, I tried to, but I couldn't, so I leapt out of bed and fixed myself up cute and rushed right over.
Oh, you did? Well, you can go right back home again. Oh, I got your wretched little postcard.
Did I send you a postcard?
Just too sweet for words. Where is it? Oh, yes. Yes, here it is. A whole month away in one postcard. At least I had the sense not to write to you.
Oh, I read your letters to Dill. It's good the judge didn't know he was getting letters from a giddy young girl. Is that my postcard you're tearing up? The pretty picture of the lake?
That's what I think of your pretty picture?
Well, at least you waited until I got here.
Just for the stamp.
Oh, well, I've got something to tear up, too.
What's that?
Your last letter to Dill. He gave it to me for my stamp collection. Too bad I hadn't read it yet.
Jefferson Tingle, I ought to slap your insufferable face.
Well, you better not. I've been down in a country where a slap in the face means business. Say, where's Dill?
Oh, he's around. We're both trying not to look self-conscious, so we steer clear of each other in front of company. Oh, it's good to see you, Jeff. It makes me feel good.
Dr. Tingle at your service. How are you, really?
Feeble, Moss Tingle, feeble.
No, I don't believe it. What'd you do while I was away?
Well, I caught up with my classical reading. I went shopping and didn't buy anything. Shep and I tore up the town. We became famous far and wide. That pale, interesting woman and that very young-looking boy.
Is he the best man?
Yes.
Too bad I won't be here.
What?
Well, now, don't yell. I've got to eat. I've got a job, and the boss suggests I work at it a bit now and then. He's sending me out of town tonight.
We'll delay the wedding.
I'm flattered, but you won't.
Oh, but I won't seem married unless you're there.
Oh, I'm a jinx. If I stay away, everything will go all right.
Will it? I wonder.
What's the matter?
Are you good at diagnosis, Dr. Tingle?
Very. What are your symptoms?
A sort of unsatisfactory few weeks I've had. I've straightened out every dresser drawer and every closet in this house. I don't suppose that means anything to you, does it?
Well, certainly you're a neat woman. Go on. You probably counted the linen, too.
Oh, a lot of the good old stuff Mother had was mildewed. I was so mad I cried.
And then one rainy day up in the attic.
You'd be mortified to know that I did spend such an afternoon. I sat in the middle of my ancestral trunks and bawled.
Oh, what over?
Just told you. Over the fact that life was far from satisfactory.
Didn't you feel better afterward?
No.
Well, what's the sticker, Mary?
Whether or not I should marry Dill.
What? Well, have you said anything to Dill?
No, what is there to say until I've made up my mind one way or another?
Well, you haven't much time, less than 24 hours. Make up your mind. Either you are or you aren't. You ought to know.
Yes, Papa.
Say, are you one of these women who worry themselves into a fever trying to decide between pink and green? Haven't you got enough strength of character to know what it is you want and ask for it for a loud, clear voice?
A loud, clear voice. That's easy to say. Because you know what to ask for and I don't. That's the difference, Jefferson. Your life seems very simple to me.
Well, that's because I'm a very complex person. I see more than floats on the surface. I've practiced holding my breath for 3 minutes and walking around on the bottom with my eyes open. And you can do it, too. I've always considered you a person who knew the passwords. I've watched you out of the corner of my eye. You're shocked by the right things, stupidity and glitter and cheap sophistication. But this marriage business has you all mixed up. One of your little pet illusions cracked up about a month ago, and it's got you down. Well, you've got to patch it up again. You've got to keep your pet illusions, and you've got to make them shatterproof.
Wait till I get my copybook, and I'll write all this down.
No. Either you know it or you don't. You don't get it by writing it down, and you don't get it out of books either.
Then how is a poor girl to get it?
Listen, you know what I'm talking about, and if you didn't, you wouldn't be trying to joke about it. You'd be cussing me out because you'd think I was saying you weren't sophisticated. And in this day and age, to say that to a person is to insult him to his non-existent soul.
Well, I know the truly wise are simple. But it doesn't necessarily follow that the simple are truly wise.
You're not being simple now. You've got to make up your mind. Do you want Dill or don't you?
I told you I don't know.
Mary, what is this? You're not trying to get even with Dill.
I thought you knew me better than that.
Oh, I do. You're above that.
Thanks. If I weren't and I found out that I didn't love him, the best way to get even would be to marry him, wouldn't it?
No, but you wouldn't do that.
Of course I wouldn't.
Mary, I don't know what this is all about.
Neither do I. I told you I didn't.
Well, have you spoken to anyone else?
Oh, I couldn't. Still, I can speak about it to you. It's funny, isn't it?
Well, we're old friends.
Oh, that must be it.
Well,
What's your problem, Mary? And it's a big one. You haven't much time to decide.
The minister's coming in a few minutes to make the final arrangement.
Well, whatever you do decide, it'll be right. I know that.
Thank you, Jeff.
Goodbye, Mary.
Bye.
Well, where to now?
Go around the park again.
Okay. Well, that makes 4 trips around.
Go on. You're getting paid for it. I got all day and all week, and I'm not in a hurry.
Okay, Lonesome.
What?
Remember me? I remember you.
Oh, you do, huh?
Yeah, Lonesome Dingle. All the time a best man. I picked you up on Park Avenue once, remember?
Oh, yes.
Lonesome Dingle. That killed me. I thought you were screwed.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. Turn around.
Huh?
Go back to the house where you picked me up and step on it.
But I thought you said about...
Go on.
Okay.
Oh, why, Mr. Tingle.
Oh, where's Miss Mary, Dent?
She's in the library.
Thanks. Mary.
Well, glad to see you back, Mr. Tingle. We've got your old room ready for you.
Oh, well, thanks. The conductor said 30 minutes for lunch, so I thought I'd get off and talk to the pretty waitress.
That's nice. Sit down.
Listen, Mary, I've been thinking, and I want to ask you something. Well, if you want to laugh at me when it's all over, I'll laugh with you, because maybe it's hilarious, only I don't think so now.
Go on.
Well, when I left here before, I realized I'd turn tail and run from the most important thing I'd ever had to make up my mind about.
Is it made up now?
Yes, it is. The taxi driver did it. He called me Lonesome Dingo, and that's what I am. And you know why. Because I never took my own advice. I never yelled out for what I wanted in a loud, clear voice. Well, I'm doing it now. Listen, Mary, if you do change your mind about Dill, if you aren't going to marry him, sometime after a decent interval, only I hope the interval won't be too long or too decent, would it ever occur to you to marry me?
Yes, Jefferson, it would.
Of course it would. Why not? Jefferson Tingle, that charming old fellow.
Wouldn't it be amusing to think of being married to him at some time or other? Well, all right, Mary. Let me know. My office will give you my address any time in the next 3 weeks.
So you didn't mean it?
Did you?
Yes.
I did mean it.
So did I.
Mary.
Jeff.
What's happened?
I don't know. Have I always loved you? I must have.
Oh, we've got to find Dill and tell him.
He's still here. We'll tell him together.
Wait. Let me have a look at you. That Tingle chap fell into a pretty good thing.
So did that Clay girl.
Mary, where in heaven's name have you been?
Here, dear, why?
Well, you might have let me know. Your friend Paula's been on my trail all day, bawling me out for I don't know what. What is this mysterious thing known as my duty to you? Just what have you suffered that I don't know about? Don't you think I've had a little private suffering of my own?
Well, I didn't sick Paula onto you, dear. You know how she loves to manage destinies. I thought you knew it was best to seem devoutly grateful and then go your own little way. You haven't any duty to me, and I've forgotten that I've ever had a single pang.
Well, all right, Mary. You mustn't mind my getting all steamed up. Sorry to let you in for all this, Jeff, but after all, you were in from the start, and you have a right to be in at the finish. Please excuse me, Mary.
And you must try to excuse me. Dill, I don't know how to put it, except that I'm not going to marry you tomorrow.
What? Oh, well, that's all right, Mary. If you want to wait a little while, I understand.
No, Dill, I'm not going to marry you at all.
Why not? Why not, Mary?
Dill, Mary's going to marry me.
You and... All right, children.
It's
all
not
right.
a joke.
Not one of Jeff's ideas?
It's both our ideas.
I don't believe it. I'll never believe it. You're kidding.
Wait a minute, Dill.
Cut it out, Jeff. Do you mean it, Mary?
Yes, Dill.
Then I am a complete fool. Congratulations on making me one.
Oh, Dill, I'm sorry.
Oh, don't say that. You can't be sorry. Not if you're marrying that fine chap, that true friend, Jefferson Tingle. What I can't understand, Jeff, is why you went all the way to Mexico to get me free.
Wait a minute, Dill. This has happened to Jeff and me in the last half hour. We haven't had time to tell you.
Yes, but you were going to tell me. How considerate. Perhaps you can tell me something I can tell my friends.
Oh, Dill, don't say such things. We've always had so much fun together. Dill, that's it. We were getting married on the strength of the past.
So I'm just a friend. Is that it? Just a friend that stuck his hand in the buzzsaw for you to find out if it was sharp. So you want to marry Jeff Tingle instead of me. Is that it?
That's it, Dill.
All right. But promise me this. Don't ever talk about me. And give me time to get out of town.
There goes Dill and Todd.
I'm sorry. You know, Jeff, he didn't think of me at all. I'm glad of that.
Why?
Because then I won't have to sit up nights worrying about him.
I think he took it nobly.
Don't you think I took it kind of nobly when he let me down?
As far as I'm concerned, I think you take everything nobly.
Jeff, you're not going to start complimenting me at this late date.
Well, Miss Clay, my position is slightly altered. As a bridegroom, I hardly know what to say.
Darling.
Miss Mary, Reverend Duncan is calling about plans for tomorrow.
Oh, the minister. Jeff, kiss me.
Good afternoon, Miss Clay.
Good afternoon, Reverend Duncan.
And this is Mr. Dillon Todd?
Well, not exactly.
What?
I mean, there's been a slight substitution. Mr. Tingle for Mr. Todd.
We take leave of our play Forsaking All Others and devote the next 2 or 3 moments to a meeting with our stars, Betty Davis and Joel McCrae. A couple of weeks ago, Miss Davis, the Hollywood columnist Jimmy Starr reported on this microphone that you've just moved into your new home.
Good work, C.B., but don't stop there.
Don't whisper, Joel. Speak up if there's anything on your mind.
Oh, no, not a thing.
Well, you know, Joel here is in the cattle business, and after all, Betty, what is home without a cow?
Now, Mr. DeMille, what would I want with a cow?
I'm sure I don't know, Betty. I'm only trying to help Joel out. He said that if...
Well, Betty, a cow... Well, you see, a cow is... Why, well, anyway, they're swell. They're quiet and restful, and they have big brown eyes, and I'm sure if you saw the one
Joel, I don't wish to buy a cow.
Oh, you don't wish to buy a cow?
No.
Oh. Well, how about a horse?
No.
Well, can I at least sell you a load of hay?
It's very good hay, Betty.
You two aren't partners by any chance.
No, not exactly. You see, I own a herd of deer.
But I don't want any deer either.
No, but they eat so much hay that Joel said he'd give me all I need if I helped him sell you a cow.
Oh. I see. Just a couple of boys in the movie business.
Maybe we'd better change the subject, Mr. DeMille.
No, wait a minute, Joel. Since you and I have formed a sort of mutual admiration society for our friend Willie Wyler, why don't you send a cow to him as a token of your esteem?
Excuse me, Betty, but Mr. Wyler has interrupted his picture directing and is now in Sun Valley, Idaho.
Yes, far, far away from Hollywood with nothing to do but ski and ice skate and toboggan. Poor, poor man. That's why I think a cow might be just the thing to keep his spirits up.
Tell me, Betty, is it true that after directing you in Jezebel, poor Mr. Wyler had to go away for a rest?
Oh, don't be silly, Joel. I'm the one who had to have the rest. You've worked with Willie, you should know.
My secret agents informed me, Betty, that the real reason you worked night and day was to enable your co-star, Henry Fonda, to dash to New York and be there at the time he became a papa.
That's quite true. And in appreciation of our efforts, Henry promised to name the baby Jezebel. But he double-crossed us and named her Jane Seymour Fonda instead. I don't know, I suppose that's better. Jane's really kind of nicer than Jezzy.
By the way, didn't Henry play in Forsaking All Others on Broadway?
That's right, Joel. He was hardly more than an extra then. And now, 5 short years later, he's right up among our leading men. But getting back to you. Now, just what is all this about your ranch?
Well, the best way to find out is to come up and have a look for yourself.
A real ranchman? Corrals and roundups and wooden bathtubs, too, I suppose.
Well, not quite that authentic, Betty. I'll own up to one small swimming pool.
Well, speaking of bathtubs...
And goodness knows you're the one to speak of bathtubs, Mr. DeMille.
Well, anyway, I was about to remark that the first bathtub in this country almost caused a minor revolution. Its presence in the home of a Cincinnati gentleman in the 1840s brought forth a storm of protest from politicians, newspapers, and the medical profession. It was denounced as an Epicurean innovation designed to corrupt the democratic simplicity of the Republic. Not long after, the Philadelphia Common Council went into a turmoil over a proposed ordinance prohibiting bathing between November 1st and March 15th. It failed to become a law by only 2 votes.
That's lucky for you, sir. This is the 20th century. Lux Soap would have found it rather rough sledding back there in the unscrubbed 40s. And lucky for us, too. I'm very happy to say that Lux Soap is the soap in our new home.
Well, thank you, Betty.
And thank you, sir, for inviting me here to play Forsaking All Others. Many of you will remember the stage production with Miss Tallulah Bankhead, whose performance is one I know I shall never forget. And now, good night.
Good night, C.B.
Good night, Betty. So long, cowboy. And now I have some wonderful news for you. Next week, we bring you the great W.C. Fields. The old guard that never surrenders. Beneath the magnificent flaming canopy that is his nose, there beats the heart of a Don Quixote. He's the ghost of the old family album, come back to shake the world with laughter. He's the last stand of old-fashioned chivalry and wisteria-draped sentiment. His speech gushes with 18-carat invective and 18th century elegance. He's the minstrel boy in top hat and velvet collar, slightly frayed. He's that glorious charlatan, W.C. Fields. We dispatched an invitation to Mr. Fields to be with us next Monday night. And by carrier pigeon, Mr. Fields has sent his acceptance and will reenact his great screen success, Poppy, assisted by Anne Shirley, Skeets Gallagher, and John Payne. Our sponsors, the makers of Lux Toilet Soap, join me in inviting you to be with us again next Monday night when the Lux Radio Theater presents W.C. Fields in Poppy with Anne Shirley, Skeets Gallagher, and John Payne. This is Cecil B. DeMille saying good night to you from Hollywood.
Joel McRae appears to courtesy of Simon Revolver and Louis Silvers through 20th Century Fox Studios, where he directed music for the new film Sally, Irene, and Mary. Heard during tonight's program was Sweet Someone from Love and Hisses. Your announcer has been Melville Ruick. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
presents Loretta Young, Dan O'Herlihy, Raymond Burr, and tonight's special guest, Mr. Thomas F. O'Neill. From Hollywood, the Mutual Network, in cooperation with Family Theater, presents Hound of Heaven, starring Dan O'Herlihy and Raymond Burr. And now, here's your hostess, Miss Loretta Young.
Thank you, Tony Lafrano. Family Theater's only purpose is to bring to everyone's attention a practice that must become an important part of our lives if we're to win peace for ourselves, peace for our families, and peace for the world. Family Theater urges you to pray. Pray together as a family.
And now to our transcribed drama, Hound of Heaven, starring Dan O'Herlihy as Francis Thompson and Raymond Burr as the narrator.
I fled him down the nights.
Yes, you fled him. You eluded him.
I fled him down the nights and down the days.
Yes, you twisted, turned, tried to escape.
From those strong feet that followed after.
But did you ever really escape him? His name was Francis Thompson. And of all the lonely and obscure men who lived in London that year of 1887, none had made his bed in hell more surely than he. For him, each night was a lying down in hunger and fear. Each morning, a slow awakening to pain.
Here, you there, get up. Come on, get up, I say.
Yes.
You can't sleep here, you know that.
I know. I'm sorry, officer.
Come on, get along with you. Get along with you.
For Francis Thompson, waking upon the Thames embankment, each morning was a slow return to pain. A remembrance of dreams made hideous by fear, twisted by hunger. Dreams of delirium shot through with dying stars and the river's mist. Dreams that always had their ending somewhere at the broken edge of the world, with the nightstick prodding his chest. The agony of waking to another day. And then, as he would get to his feet, brushing the dirt and matted leaves from his coat, pulling it tight about him against the fog, London, too, it seemed, returned to life, with the first cab in the street, clopping by. The first mackerel peddler crying his wares, with the first farmer's cart piled high with Surrey hay, and the whistling of the Edinburgh Express coming down from the northern hills. As he awoke, London woke with him, and they faced each other at the beginning of the day. The man of bone and flesh against the city of stone. The man with the tired heart driving his broken knuckles against the stone which never yielded. Each day began as another. A halfpenny for a mug of tea. Tuppence for a stale loaf of bread. A furtive search for an old rag, a wadded newspaper to line his shoes. And then the long tramp in search for work.
Pardon, sir, would there be a place for me somewhere?
Sorry, no work today.
Would you be needing a man?
Sorry, we have all the help we need.
Unemployment, Francis. Unemployment. It's the scourge that can lash a man's spirit. It's a cross. A contradiction of economics that hangs heavily upon the shoulders of people like you, Francis. So you've got to keep walking, keep searching. Maybe somewhere you will find work. You can't stop to rest. Now, A turn down this street. Now there.
Sorry, no work for you.
Try the greengrocer across the street.
Sorry, no work for you.
Perhaps the wine shop. Try that.
I'm sorry, no work for you.
The warehouse. The warehouse.
Sorry, no work for you.
Sorry, no work for you. Yes, Francis, the day is over. The long tramping from door to door. Huddle there in the darkened doorway and take your rest. There will be no bread for your hunger tonight, no roof above your head. And there will be no drug to soothe the madness in your throat and brain. Lie in the doorway and take your rest. For tomorrow's another day, and if you live, there'll be more miles to walk. Death comes slowly to the afflicted, so you cannot hope for much tonight.
What was that?
A drum, perhaps. It could be the failing beat of your heart.
No, it's not that. I hear it often. It stops. It begins again.
Your imagination?
No, it sounds like footsteps, as though someone were following me.
Try to rest.
No matter where I go, I hear them. They follow me always.
It's the drug, Francis. Try to get through this night and your craving for it. Perhaps tomorrow you'll find work.
It's not the drug or my imagination. They are footsteps and they follow me wherever I go. I'm like a man with the hounds crying after him, a hunted thing in a swamp, and I hear these footsteps night and day. I hear them. There. Hear them?
You hear a drum. You hear your heartbeat. Now wait. It's footsteps, all right. Someone approaching the doorway.
Hello there. You there, you all right?
All right.
Why, laddie, you shouldn't be lying here in the doorway. You'll catch your death of cold. Here, let me help you.
All right, I say.
Are you? I tell you, laddie, this is a bad night for a man's body and soul.
What right have you to talk about bodies and souls?
What the right of one human being to another, laddie?
Look, my friend, you mean well, and for that I thank you, but I'm sick, I'm tired, and I'm hungry.
Lad, I know you're sick. I know you're alone. That's why I'd like to help you.
What do you mean? Help?
I want you to come home with me. My name's McMasters. I'm a cobbler by trade, and I can put you to work if you want a job.
Work?
You'll owe me nothing, lad. Nothing at all.
Why should you do this for me?
Why shouldn't I, lad? If the situation were reversed, it's you who'd be reaching out your hand to me. This way, it's my good fortune. Here, come along now, lads. A warm bed for you tonight, and a good day's work in the morning. Hello, Francis. How goes the work?
Not so well, Mr. McMasters. I'm afraid I don't think I was cut out for a cobbler.
Oh, you're just learning, lad. It's only 3 weeks you've been here. Tell me, laddie, I didn't want to pry or anything, but what's your trade or profession?
Well, I have none. If I did, I suppose you'd call it journalism.
Oh, you're right, then.
Yes, Mr. McMasters.
What do you write, Francis?
Usual thing, I suppose, reviews, essays, some poetry. The sort of things that never sell.
Here, lad, try some of this tobacco. It's an Irish mixture.
Thanks.
Light? Where'd you go to school, Francis?
Bushard. It's about 4 miles from Durham.
And you were studying...
I wanted to enter the priesthood. I failed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Strange, when you come to think of it. I'm 28, you know. You'd think that in 28 years a man would be able to win. Well, to win one victory. You'd think that, but it isn't true. After I was rejected for the priesthood, my father sent me to Manchester to study medicine. 6 years. Examinations every 2 years. I failed all of them. Defeat for me was like a web. I seemed to be caught into it, woven into its pattern. And after a while, I became afraid to try anything at all for fear I'd fail at it. That's why I came to London.
Did you break the pattern?
No. To lose myself, to crawl into the darkest corner of the city and hide.
Laddie. And how long have you?
2 years come November.
2 years on the streets and doorways? How could you live? How?
I don't know. Maybe it was because I prayed. I'd say that, only Sometimes there was even no belief in my prayers. I felt as if I were not being heard. You see, living the way I did in hunger, a disordered nervous condition, loneliness, you can't think clearly sometimes. You doubt your own mind's power to think, and then you can't pray right. Only I went on praying, and I'm still alive, that's all I know.
And God willing, you'll stay alive, Francis. For you've a roof over your head now and a job. And maybe time to write. Maybe time to write something great and good.
It would be a pleasant thing to be able to say that Francis Thompson settled down to an ordered life and turned out a great work of literature, that he rewarded his benefactor in some generous way. But the truth is quite different. Thompson was useless around the cobbler shop. Oh, he was willing, but he was clumsy and inefficient. He scribbled verses when he should have been working, and his few earnings were spent to satisfy the craving for opium which constantly tortured him. He spent 3 months with McMasters, and then one day he disappeared. McMasters waited for him to return that night. He waited many nights as the autumn months passed into winter, but Francis Thompson never came back. Of the many McMasters had befriended and given jobs, Thompson alone proved a disappointment. He was my only failure, McMasters wrote. He was my only failure.
Here, you. Where do you think you're going?
Huh?
Hey, now, stay away from that church. There's other places.
I wasn't going in.
All drunk and dirty and... Yeah, no, going to crawl into that church where it's warm, eh? Thought no one would see you. Now, go on, get on your way.
The church? Yes.
Yeah, now, get along, I said.
Yes, that's where I can go.
Oh, yeah, you come along with me. I'll take you to the place. Here, where are you going? Come on back.
Lord, have mercy upon us.
Lord, have mercy upon me.
Christ, have mercy upon us.
Christ, have mercy upon me.
The Lord have mercy upon you, Francis Thompson.
Have mercy.
Upon your weakness and failures.
Have mercy.
And through you on all the poor and broken who walk in the city streets.
Help us all, O God.
From the city itself, from the cruelty of stone and the horror of the pavement.
Defend me, O God.
From the almshouse and prison. From the makeshift bed in the doorway.
Defend me, O God.
From the hunger in the day and wakefulness at night. From the torn coat and the broken shoes. From the stares of pity and the stares of contempt.
Deliver me, O God.
From the man whose hand is against us. From his anger and his clenched fist. From the sudden blow against the mouth.
Deliver me, O God.
And give us this day our daily bread.
Give me this day my daily bread.
But more than bread alone, O God, give us the strength to earn our bread.
Hear me, O God.
Christ, have mercy on us.
Christ, have mercy on me.
Time to go, Francis. The church is empty. The sexton is putting out the candles one by one.
I can't go. If I leave, I'd forget how to pray.
You must.
Where?
Somewhere. A doorway, perhaps. There's that grain warehouse in Cock Lane, if you could force a window.
No, the rats.
There's always the embankment.
It's snowing.
Then what?
I don't know. Perhaps this is the end of all my running. Death.
Death comes slowly to the afflicted.
But not to me. A loaf of bread, a mug of coffee, and 4 days? The dizzy spells, fever, cough. No, it can't be far off now, even to me.
Do you want to die?
Do I want to live this way?
Do you not know, Francis, that while you live, your body is the temple of God?
God doesn't live in me. God is perfection and health and beauty. Can God live in a broken body and a mind that doubts its own reason? No. I lost God sometime after I left the cobbler's shop. I lost him somewhere in the alleys of Eastcheap.
But has God lost you, Francis?
Huh?
Has he lost you?
If I deny him, how can he find me?
Listen. Do you hear that?
The footsteps?
The footsteps of the hound. Do you remember, Francis?
Footsteps? Yes, they always follow me. But there's something inside me, oh God forgive me, some fear, some dread that keeps me running from those footsteps.
Hello.
Oh.
What's wrong? What you running for?
It's nothing.
Well, find it. Please, somebody help me. Help me, please. There, it's all right.
What happened?
You've been quite sick.
Sick?
Don't you remember?
How long have I been?
3 days. Don't you remember? You were running along the street.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember now. And you were the girl...
I brought you here to this boarding house.
I'm afraid I've put you to a lot of trouble. I think I'd better
but
go.
You can't. You're sick. The doctor said you got to rest and eat. He says you was down from starvation.
You called a doctor?
I had to.
Well, that cost money. I've got nothing...
Don't say it.
What's your name?
Anne.
Who are you? I mean, what sort of work do you do?
Oh, nothing very much. Nothing important.
I didn't mean to pry. I just wondered. Anne.
Yes?
Maybe you haven't done anything important, as you say. I don't know who you are, what you are, but I've been wandering across a plain of fever and delirium. 3 days, you tell me? Dreams came up like clouds over those 3 days. But in the end, it seemed that I heard footsteps behind me. They were after me, and I ran and ran. And far on the edge of a plain, I saw a cross standing, and I thought if I can reach that cross, I'll be safe. So I ran toward it, only when I got there, it wasn't a cross. It was you. Do you understand?
You mean you don't care what I am?
No, I only wonder what I can ever do for you in return.
And so, once again, through the kindness of a stranger, this time an outcast much like himself, the healing of Francis Thompson began. To him, this girl gave of the little she had, food, clothing, encouragement, but more than that, an ease from loneliness. To her, he gave things unknown in her life, tenderness and reverence and respect. And then at last, Francis Thompson began to write.
The Passion of Mary, a poem. Paganism, old and new, an essay. 2 things finished, actually finished. It's hard to believe that I had the power, the sheer mental power to work them through.
Francis Thompson's work was good, and Wilfred Mennell, editor of the magazine Merry England, published the pieces, sought out the author, and extended to him the hand which would lift him from obscurity. But Francis Thompson, about to reach for the hand, suddenly withdrew himself. For what about Anne?
Anne!
Yes, Francis?
Anne, I sold them to Mr. Mennell. Oh. And Anne, he's interested in me. He wants me to come and live with him to do my work at his home. I mean, he wants us.
Us?
Yes. You see, I told him we were to be married, and that I'd come only if you were with me.
Oh, no.
I want you to marry me, and...
I'm not worthy of you, Francis. You know that. You're great and good. I might only hurt you. I might keep you from... It's been good what we had together, Francis. But you'll have to go on alone now. You'll have to go on alone.
So the girl who had lifted him from the streets vanished from his life. All that day he searched for her, all the next and the next, but she had disappeared. He turned away from the extended hand of Mennell in his search for her, and the days passed into weeks, weeks into a month, then 2 months as he tramped the mighty labyrinths of London. But he never found her. Among the millions of faces he looked into, none was hers. And then at last, one day, sitting on a bench in Covent Garden, barren from the grief that had drained him, he heard the familiar sound of footsteps. Frances?
Yes?
She's gone. You'll never find her again.
I know.
And now there's nothing left. Nothing but the footsteps. Do you hear them?
I hear them.
Think back, Francis, think back. Isn't it strange how each time you've cried, each time the horror of life has risen up to crush you, you've heard the footsteps?
Yes. Each time I've lost the sense of God, I've heard them.
Only in those times...
I begin to hear them faintly, when my faith grew weaker, and my prayers. And then at last, when I had lost the sense of God, they beat like thunder in my ears.
As they are beating now?
Yes.
And as they beat, the night Anne came to you?
Yes.
And the night McMasters found you?
Yes, yes. What are you driving at?
Don't you know? Think, Francis. Think. Is it possible you could touch God by the hand and not know it?
Hound of Heaven. The footsteps of God in Charing Cross. No matter where I fled, they followed. Down the nights and days, the twisted lanes and passageways of all London, down the years and months and days, they followed. God's love pressing in on me when I denied him. God's love hounding me through the swamps of despair. God who wouldn't let me go even though I had denied him. God looking at me out of her eyes and touching me with her hands. Yes, I know now. I know. These footsteps...
Then search out your soul, Francis, and put what you find into words. All the hunger and pain and loneliness of these tortured years. Write it, Francis.
I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways of my own mind. And in the mist of tears, I hid from him.
Write it for all to read, Francis, for the poor, the beaten, the hungry, the tempted, the weak, for those like you all over the world.
I hid from him, from those strong feet that followed after, but with unhurrying chase and unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, they beat, and a voice beat, more instant than the feet. All things betray thee who betrayest me.
Put into words the streets and the sleepless nights, the cold sweats and the agony of thought. Put McMasters into them, and Anne. And put the losing of God into words. The awful loneliness.
For though I knew his love who followed, yet was I sore adread, lest having him I might have naught beside.
And Francis, put into words the joy that came when God had found you once again.
And past those noised feet a voice comes yet more fleet. Ah, fondest, blindest, weakest, I am he whom thou seekest.
Yes, Francis, put all this into words that others may draw courage from them and find their way to peace. For it is you, Francis Thompson, who went down to make a bed in hell, but found God's love following you, even there.
Ah, fondest, blindest, weakest, I am he whom thou seekest.
And so Francis Thompson, who today ranks among the great poets, went on to build a new life for himself, aided by the kindness of the Mennel family, went on to complete The Hound of Heaven, and give the world one of the most inspiring poems of all literature, the story of God's love and mercy.
Loretta Young again. Hound of Heaven marks a very special occasion. Special because with this program, Family Theater celebrates its 400th broadcast over the Mutual Network. It was my privilege to appear on the very first Family Theater program. It was broadcast on February the 13th, 1947. And since that first broadcast, the great continuous generosity of the Mutual Network has made this program possible week after week and year after year. So Family Theater has been on the air for a long time because the men behind Mutual are convinced of the efficacy of Family Theater's dedicated program, a program devoted to the betterment of family life through the inspiration and practice of family prayer. More than 300 stars of Hollywood and New York have appeared time after time on Family Theater, giving their talents to prove that they, too, believe in the efficacy of prayer. Now, on behalf of all these stars and players, I want to express appreciation to our special guest, Mr. Thomas F. O'Neill, Chairman of the Board of the Mutual Broadcasting System. Thank you, Mr. O'Neill, for making it possible for Family Theater to be heard every week over the Mutual Network. Thank you, and all of your associates, for this repeated opportunity to tell millions of listeners week after week the simple truth. The family that prays together stays together.
Thank you, Loretta. In a way, we in the entertainment world feel a real kinship to Family Theater. We like to think of ourselves as members of this family, too, and today it is a kind of special family celebration. This has been Family Theater's 400th broadcast, and we of Mutual want to thank Family Theater and all the stars who, for the past 7½ years, have helped to make it a program that we can be proud to present to our listeners. Anyone who has been a steady listener to Family Theater can vouch for the high, wholesome quality of its entertainment. And any American who has the well-being of his country at heart must agree that the basis of our nation's strength lies in the strength and unity of the family, and that the family that prays together stays together.
More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of. From Hollywood, Family Theater has brought you Hound of Heaven, starring Dan O'Herlihy and Raymond Burr. Loretta Young was your hostess, and Mr. Thomas F. O'Neill, chairman of the board of the Mutual Broadcasting System, was our special guest. Others in our cast were Gene Bates, Ben Wright, and Richard Peel. The script was written by Frederick Lipp and was directed and transcribed for Family Theater by John T. Kelly, with music composed and conducted by Harry Zimmerman. This series of Family Theater broadcasts is made possible by the thousands of you who feel the need for this type of program, by the Mutual Network, which has responded to this need, and by the hundreds of stars of stage, screen, and radio who give so unselfishly of their time and talent to appear on our Family Theater stage. To them and to you, our humble thanks. This is Tony Lofrano expressing the wish of Family Theater that the blessing of God may be upon you and your home, and inviting you to be with us next week when Family Theater will present The Cliff, starring John Lunn. Debbie Reynolds will be your hostess. Join us, won't you? Family Theater is broadcast throughout the world and originates in the Hollywood studios of the world's largest network. This is Mutual, the radio network for all America.
Section 42 of G.K. Chesterton's newspaper columns, The New Witness, 1921. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Larry Wilson. G.K. Chesterton's newspaper columns, The New Witness, 1921, by G.K. Chesterton. At the sign of the world's end, the ugliness of utopia. It is a pity that the people who are trying to attack the worst sort of Bolshevism have got hold of the very worst way of doing it. I have been called a reactionary, and in one sense I am a reactionary. But I am quite sure there is one golden rule for all good little reactionaries to learn. It is no good to give a superficial answer to a fundamental suggestion, even if it is fundamentally false. Indeed, if it is fundamentally false, it is all the more necessary to answer it with what is fundamentally true. There is no answer to anything radical, even radically wrong, except being more radical still. If the other man has dug deep enough to have almost torn the plant up by its roots, we must dig deeper and see that it brings its own soil with it, so that it can live. If the enemy is mining, we must be countermining, and the countermining must be undermining. If the wrong sort of revolutionist is indeed undermining society, he will most certainly blow up society unless we can undermine him. The revolutionist will win unless we can be more revolutionary than he, in the fundamental sense of being at once more skeptical and more visionary. Now, our real hold on the skeptic is almost always in this, that there is something which he does not doubt, and we do. Challenged upon his own first principles, he finds the whole of his movement checked. Thus, for instance, as long as we tell the Bolshevist that his ideal is a beautiful and bewitching illusion, he will lead men to worse fates in the future, if they follow it now. He will not altogether unnaturally say that it seems odd to refuse to follow an ideal because it is beautiful, and that even by our own account there is as yet nothing to show that it is deceptive. But if we tell him at the beginning that we think his ideal is ugly, that it is ugly as an ideal and not merely as a reality, and that as it is ugly in itself, we are naturally not going to be bothered to follow it. If we tell him that, he is brought to a much more serious standstill. In order to convert us, at any rate, he has to show that his ideal is not ugly, but beautiful and worth following. Now, the modern materialist will find it much more difficult to charm like a poet than to plan plausibly like a company promoter. He will be less insinuating when he woos like a lover than when he takes chances like a tipster. It is not really so difficult for him to convince people that his idea is attainable, that he has figured it all out, like a man with a financial tip or a system for Monte Carlo. But we, by hypothesis, are not telling him that his idea is unattainable. We are telling him we do not want to attain it, whether it is attainable or not. What he has to create in us is a motive, that is, a thing that makes other things move. And it is not an easy business to create a motive. Not half so easy as to assume a motive and explain a plan. What he has to do, if he can, is what the great prophets and religious founders did. He has to make a sort of music in the air, to which things stir and march, even when they have seemed stiff as hedges or rooted as trees. And the modern economic materialist is no Orpheus. In short, it is easier to refute Bolshevism as an ideal than Bolshevism as a business proposition. And this for a very vital and interesting reason. That business can be mystifying, whereas idealism must be plain. Anyone can see this by imagining any working example. Suppose a man knocks at the door with a proposition for providing everybody with a pair of stilts, so that they can henceforth all walk about undefiled by mud and breathing a purer air on a level with the tops of trees. It would take a long time to prove to him that he cannot provide everybody with stilts. You might spend many happy hours with him in your library, looking up encyclopedias, uncovering papers with calculations, before you had proved to him from the census, or the reports of the timber trade, or the blue books on afforestation, that the thing was impossible. Perhaps it isn't impossible, an idea to be kept in mind about the other ideal also. If you want to get rid of the gentleman selling stilts at the door, it is much quicker to tell him that you don't want any stilts, that you don't like stilts, and that he has aroused no stilt motive like music in your mind, or in short that walking on stilts forms no part of your ideal. In short, the idealistic answer is short, sharp, and practical. whereas the practical answer is long-winded, elaborate, and tiresome. If a man proposes to take you to Johannesburg on one of those new amphibio-automatic oil bicycles, which are, for all I know, among the brightest and briskest business propositions advertised in that brilliant seat of culture, it will take a long time to disprove to the tout that the bicycle can travel over land and sea. It will need very complicated scientific calculation to demonstrate that the design is a swindle, though since it emanates from the high places of imperial and scientific finance, it very probably is. It is much simpler to tell him the truth that burns immortally in the breast of every plain, true-hearted Englishman. It is better to tell him that you do not want to go to Johannesburg, any more than to hell. That is what I have to say to the Bolshevist about the Bolshevist utopia. But the point here is that it would take a long time to go into the merits and demerits of the bicycle, whereas it takes a very short time indeed to dismiss the merits and demerits of the South African city. To get to the ideal is to get to the goal, and be done with it. To linger on the practical process may be interminable. The idealistic method is businesslike. The businesslike method is the devil of a business. In the same way, the really swift and simple modes of attack on Marxian materialism and collectivism is simply pointing out that it is ugly, not proving that it is unpractical. It is in preventing people from desiring what the innovators think desirable, much more than in merely prophesying whether they can get what they desire. For a prophecy, however practical, is always arbitrary and mystical, whereas a desire is a definite and objective fact, like a dog or door-knocker. All men know what they want, but only inspired seers know whether they can get it. If men want property and liberty and the life of the distributive state, as we maintain, we will attempt to follow it up by proving it to be practical and probable. But if men do not want collectivism and regimentation and compulsory labor and the rest of the Bolshevist utopia, then it will be a waste of our time to prove it impossible. None of us will sit down to discuss the baffling difficulties of starting a pestilence or the little hitches and worries in the way of procuring a mad dog. There is a truth, probably unconscious, in the common phrase that utopian revolutionists hope to make a new heaven and a new earth. It is true that nobody makes a new earth without first making a new heaven, and this is no more specially true when the heaven is full of gods and angels than when the heaven is empty of everything but ether and stardust. It is quite as true when the heaven is only an abyss or bottomless pit of space. It is quite as true when the heaven is rather like hell. The higher thing, towering over the earth and typifying the general nature of the universe, is still the dominant condition and determining factor in all the earthly regulations and reforms. The heaven of the atheist makes the earth of the atheist, as much as the heaven of the saint makes the earth of the saint. The basis of the whole Marxian business is the religion of monism and materialism. Every man gets his economics from his religion. Only this religion is so laboriously topsy-turvy as to teach the opposite. The notion that the religion came from the economics. The answer to this is really quite simple. The Marxian socialist says that mental states come only from material conditions, to which I reply that his material conditions are bad by his own account, and therefore his mental conclusions are wrong by his own argument. If the situation makes the soul, and if it is a bad situation to be a proletarian, then it is probably a worse situation to be a class-conscious proletarian. If capitalism is a mood of material origin, socialism is a mood of the very same material origin, and that admittedly a very bad and misleading origin. If economics produces ethics, we have no more reason to trust the psychology of a proletarian brought up in a capitalist state than that of a capitalist brought up in a capitalist state. The truth is that this is one intrinsically impossible and intolerable school of thought, because it is thought against thinking. The man who says that ideas are mere material results has in that very sentence destroyed all ideas, including that one. But there is an even deeper element among these elements of the case. It is perhaps the element of emotion rather than thought. Why should a man want to maintain that his will is a blind plant of the swamp, or that his ideals are idols made of mud? Why should men desire to entertain such a dogma as the materialist version of history? I do not speak here of puzzle-headed skeptics who reluctantly digest such dogmas, because they cannot reason their way out of them, but of men who shout them like a war cry and intone them like a creed. We can only say that there seems to be some such pessimistic perversity and spiritual suicide, and that this sect must be counted among the strange sects so afflicted. In practical fact, I think they are often fighting against very real plutocratic tyranny. But in truth there are two very different fights against tyranny. There is the revolt against the tyrant by the slave, and there is the revolt against the tyrant by the free man. What Nietzsche said of Christianity, what was emphatically not true of Christianity, actually is true of Marxian materialism. It is a slave morality, a protest against particular authorities made by the spirit of slavery, and not by the spirit of liberty. For if it were really working from the love of freedom, it would certainly begin with free will. End of section 42.
Roma Wines present Suspense. Roma Wines, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
Salud!
Your health, senor. Roma Wines toast the world. The wine for your table is Roma Wine, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
This is the Man in Black, here to introduce this weekly half hour of Suspense. Tonight as stars, we bring you two of Hollywood's outstanding actresses, Miss Ida Lupino and Miss Agnes Moorehead. And so with the remarkable tale of the sisters, and with the performances of Ida Lupino as Lydia Haskell and Agnes Moorehead as Ellie, Roma Wines again hope to keep you in suspense.
Here is one I think would be very lovely. It has a far superior lining, pure silk, much heavier than the others we've looked at. Do you care for this one, Miss Haskell?
Oh, yes. That's very nice. But I believe I'd like to see something perhaps even a little better.
Of course. If you just step over this way, Miss Haskell. Now here is an exquisite casket. Something that really does honor to the departed.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Now, the interior is just the same as the last, but the casket itself is of bronze, solid bronze.
Well, won't that be rather heavy?
Yes, but not too heavy. Will there be 6 pallbearers?
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't matter, really. 4 men can carry this very easily. Very. Miss Haskell, I want you to notice the floral design here. All hand-wrought, every bit of it. And, oh yes, notice the seams in this casket. Airtight and watertight, guaranteed. You know, of course, how important that is.
Yes.
Yes. But this casket in 100 years, or even 200 years, will be just as strong and will look just as beautiful as it does on this stand today. You couldn't buy a finer piece of workmanship.
How much is this one, please?
This casket? A Duravo, by the way. Duravo for durability, we say in the trade. This casket is priced at, you see, $775. But we can't bring back the departed. No, our only solace is the knowledge that we've done them the last possible honor.
Very well. I'll take this one.
Well, I'm sure you're making a very wise choice. In all my years as a mortician, I've never found a family that regretted money spent on a Doravo. And now, let me see.
I'll give you a check.
Oh, no, that won't be necessary. Not immediately. After the funeral will do. Oh, by the way, we haven't mentioned it. Are we handling the funeral arrangement?
I really don't know yet.
Oh, well, you want the casket delivered somewhere?
No. I'd like you to hold it for a while, please.
Hold it? But, for how long?
For 3 weeks.
3 weeks? I don't understand. Who is the party, the deceased? Who is this casket for?
It's for me.
You have heard the prologue to this evening's suspense play, The Sisters. Before we return to the scene of our drama, here is a message from your host, the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California.
You remember the old saying, the grass is always greener in the other fellow's yard? You might agree with the truth of that statement if you happen to overhear a conversation that might easily be taking place at this moment in the smart and festive Club Montmartre in Havana, Cuba. An American has just complimented his Cuban friend on the fine quality of Havana tobacco. Graciously, the Cuban replies, "But you of the United States need have no envy of us. Nature has made a great gift of perfection to your country, too, the magnificent wine which we also enjoy. It is Roma wine, made in your own California." Friends, that little anecdote is typical of many countries where wine is truly enjoyed. For in other lands, Roma wines must be imported over long distances from our own California, a luxury to be enjoyed on special occasions, while lucky you can enjoy these superb Roma wines as a daily delight, with no import duty, no expensive shipping charges added to your cost for Roma wines. Whichever one of Roma wine's many types your own taste test names as favorite, you'll agree here is truly superb wine that could come only from truly choice wine districts. And you'll say, no wonder Roma wines are America's largest selling wines. I'll spell out the name for you. R-O-M-A, Roma wine, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
And now it is with pleasure that Roma Wines bring back to our soundstage Ida Lupino as Lydia Haskell and Agnes Moorehead as Ellie in The Sisters. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I heard you come in. Where have you been, Lydia? You've been gone all afternoon.
I've been shopping.
What did you buy? Did you get the ribbons I asked for?
No, I didn't have time.
Oh, I wanted some new ribbons. My others are all worn out. See, Lydia?
Ellie, I wish you'd stop putting ribbons in your hair like a schoolgirl. You're almost 40 years old.
I know, Lydia. I know.
Well, then try to act like it. Hand me my sewing and light the lamp. It's getting dark.
Oh, I wonder why we have to grow old. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had always stayed young like we used to be? Oh, Lydia, remember when Mother used to send us to school with our ribbons matching and our dresses matching, and at the end of the day, no one would even guess we were sisters because I was always so mussed and you were always so clean? Oh, I wish we were young again, Lydia.
Stop talking nonsense, Ellie.
It is nonsense, isn't it? Oh, the doorbell rang while you were out just before you came home.
You didn't answer it?
Oh, no, you told me never to answer it. I just looked out of the upstairs window.
Did you see who it was?
Oh, yes. It was a man, a rather big man. He rang a long time, and then he went away.
Well, he didn't see you, did he?
Oh, no. I just peeked ever so carefully from behind the curtains. Then I came down here and watched him going down the walk.
You came downstairs?
Yes,
I told you never to come down those stairs when I'm not in the house.
It was all right, Lydia. I held on very tight to the banisters all the way, and I didn't once look down the stairwell, so I didn't get dizzy, and I didn't want to jump.
Well, don't do it again.
It was just that I was lonely. I didn't think you were ever coming home. Lydia, you didn't tell me what you bought.
Oh, a Duravo.
What's that? What's a Duravo?
Don't ask so many questions, Ellie.
All right. Lydia, I think I'll sew, too. I could fix up one of these old ribbons. May I, Lydia?
Yes, so. It'd be good for you.
Thank you.
Lydia? Yes? Lydia, could I go shopping someday? Don't be a fool, Ellie. I'm sorry. I just thought... No, I suppose you're right. It wouldn't do. Not yet. There wasn't any mail today.
Wasn't there?
No, I thought perhaps there'd be a letter from David. It's been such a long time since he's written, hasn't it?
I haven't noticed.
Oh, yes, he used to write every week on Tuesday. And I'd get the letter on Thursday. But there wasn't one this week or last or the week before that. It's strange, isn't it? But perhaps he's been busy.
Perhaps.
Still, he never used to be too busy to write. I can't understand it. You suppose there's some other reason?
What are you trying to say, Ellie? Are you hinting that perhaps I'm keeping your mail from you?
Oh, no.
Well, you seem to be. Why should I keep David's letters from you?
But I didn't say that. I just said it was strange that David hasn't written, that's all. He wouldn't keep David's letters. I know that, Lydia.
Go on with your sewing.
Oh, yes, I want to finish these ribbons.
Stop singing that. Stop it.
Well, Lydia, it's a hymn. I've always sung.
I don't care. I said stop. Or learn something else. That's all you sing, day and night, day and night. The same tune, over and over and over. Now stop it.
Lydia, sometimes you frighten me. The way you look at me. You make me think that perhaps I'm not getting well. Perhaps I'm still crazy. I'm not. I'm not still crazy, am I, Lydia? I'm not, am I?
Yes?
Evening. Are you Miss Lydia Haskell?
Why, yes.
Well, can I speak to you for a minute? I was here this afternoon, but there was no one home.
What is it, please?
Well, we had a call from Doan Brothers, the Undertakers. I'm from the police department.
Really? Well, I don't see what the police could want with me. Come in if you wish.
Thanks.
Sit down.
Thank you. There's nothing we want, Miss Haskell, except it's sort of unusual for a woman to order a casket for herself.
Unusual? I've heard of many cases of that kind. People who are alone in the world and have no one else to look after things.
Sure, I know. Only it's a little more unusual when you can name the date. The undertaker said you wanted the casket held for 3 weeks. Why 3 weeks? Must be some reason for it.
Yes, there is. I'm going to die. I shall die in 3 weeks, or perhaps even before. There's no doubt of it in my mind, and that's why I ordered the casket. You may call it a premonition if you want.
Maybe I could also call it suicide. That's why I'm here, Miss Haskell. I don't know whether you know it, but suicide is a crime in the eyes of the state.
For which there is no punishment.
Not if it's successful, no. But there is prevention.
You see, I know I'm going to die. I feel it. But I have no intention of taking my own life. There's no need to do so.
Mm-hmm. Miss Haskell, this premonition, as you call it, have you any idea what brought it on?
No.
You've been speaking to anyone? No fortune tellers or anything like that?
No.
Well, what makes you so sure? How do you know you can trust this premonition? You're not an old woman. I'd say you're in pretty good health. You have a lot of good years ahead of you.
I have a religion. Not a church religion, just one of my own. It preaches that people go on living until they've outgrown their usefulness. Then they die, from one cause or another. When that time comes, the desire to live is gone. And you see, only desire keeps the body alive and breathing.
I don't understand that.
No, I'm sorry.
Miss Haskell, you live alone here?
Yes,
No relatives? No housekeeper?
I live alone here.
Pretty large house for a person living alone.
Yes, there are 3 floors and far too many rooms. But it's on the outskirts of town, and it's quiet. And it gives me the privacy I've been looking for. A privacy which you are invading for the first time since I moved here 5 years ago.
Sorry, Miss Haskell. I'm only doing my job. I was told to look you up and find out why you bought that casket.
And I think we may assume your job is over.
I guess so. But the office might ask me to drop back once in a while, just to keep in touch.
I won't be at home.
Why? You don't go out very much. The folks in the town say they don't even see you more than once a week, maybe.
When you come, I won't be at home.
All right. Sorry to bother you.
Good night.
Good night. Miss Haskell, how are you going to die?
I don't know. Nor do I consider it important. Why should you?
Good night.
Ellie, what are you doing down here? What are you doing sitting on the steps in the dark?
Lydia.
Haven't I told you never to come down here at night?
Lydia.
Or what do you want?
I heard that man who was here. Lydia, why did you buy the casket? Why are you going to die? You mustn't, Lydia. You mustn't die. I'd be alone if you died, and you know what would happen? They'd send me away like they did once before. The people in the town would come and find me living here, and they'd send me away.
Go up to bed, Ellie, and go to sleep.
How can I sleep? Oh, Lydia, you won't die. Promise me you won't.
I promise you. I'll go to bed.
But why did you buy the casket? And the things you said to that man as if you wanted to die. Why, Lydia? Why do you want to die? I don't want to die. No one does.
No, you have such a lot to live for, haven't you, Ellie?
Yes. I've been happy, Lydia. You've made me happy. And someday when I'm well again, I'll go back home and David will be waiting for me. You know he'll be there. You've always told me he'd be waiting. And he'll see that I'm well again and he'll take me back. I'm not so old, am I? David won't see me as old. He told me that when I was well, no matter how long it took, he'd still see me as a young girl. That's why I've been happy. Just waiting for the time I can go back to David.
Ellie, haven't you learned yet? Don't you know yet that you're mad? And that you'll always be mad?
No, don't say that. I'm getting better, Lydia. You know I'm getting better.
Yes. Putting bows in your hair. Sewing ribbons all day long. Sneaking about the house at night, spying on me. Singing the same hymn over and over and over. Until I think I'm going mad, too.
Is that why you want to die? To get away from me? I thought you loved me, Lydia.
Why should I love you? Look what life has given me and tell me why. You've always spoiled everything for me, Ellie. Even from the time we were children.
How could I spoil everything? We were just like the same child, Lydia. Twins. You were I and I was you.
We looked the same, yes. We were born the same day, yes. And that's where it ended. You were the nice one. I used to hear them say so. You were even the prettiest, they said. As if they could see any difference between us. Whatever you wanted, you had. You smiled so beautifully. But I never smiled. So I was the sullen one, the dark cloud in the house.
You made it so, Lydia. We all loved you.
When a doll was broken, they gave you mine. When you tore your dancing dress, you'd take mine.
You gave it to me, Lydia. I remember you gave it to me.
I've always given things to you, Ellie. I gave you the best of everything we had. I've given you my whole life. I even gave you David.
Lydia, you were in love with David? He came to our house. Was it you he came to see? Oh, Lydia, I didn't know.
No, you never knew. No one did. I had to stand by and watch you take him from me. And when you had your first attack, I was glad. People said what a shame it was. But I was very glad.
Lydia.
Because I knew then that he could never have you. Oh, yes, you were going to be cured, and he was going to wait. It won't matter how long he waits. You'll never be cured, and he'll never have you. Never.
You hate me. You've always hated me. I see it now. Even when you've been taking care of me. When we came to this town, you didn't bring me here so I'd be cured. You wanted to keep me this way, mad. That's why you took me out of that place, because they might have made me well again.
Go upstairs.
You hate me, and now you're going to die and leave me without anyone.
I told you I'm not going to die. Oh, Ellie. Ellie, I'm sorry we've had this quarrel. I didn't mean to upset you. It's just that I'm upset myself, tired. I didn't mean the things I said.
You bought a casket.
Well, it was only an idea I had in case anything ever happened
You bought
to me.
a casket. Lydia, was it for yourself or is it for me?
Ellie.
You wouldn't, would you, Lydia?
What are you talking about?
Hold the lamp up. Hold it close to you. I want to see your face.
Ellie, go off to bed.
Yes, I can see it in your eyes. It is for me. You're going to kill me. You're going to murder me.
Don't be a fool, Ellie.
It's true you want to get rid of me because you hate me. Oh, now I see. You love David. You're going to kill me, and they'll come and find me and bury me, and they'll think it's you.
Be quiet.
They'll think it's you who is dead because no one knows I'm living here, and then you'll go away. You'll go back to David, and you'll say that Lydia has died, and he'll think you're me, and that you're well again, and he'll marry you. You'll have him. You'll be Ellie. You'll have David in my place.
Ellie, stop it. Did you hear what I said? Be quiet. Be quiet. I'll go upstairs and get to bed.
Oh, Lydia, how can you be so wicked?
Ellie. Ellie, are you awake? Ellie, dear, you mustn't think any more about what we said tonight. Do you hear? It's not so, Ellie. It's just your imagination, dear. Now, you mustn't think about it. It will be bad for you. Are you asleep, Ellie? She's not asleep. She's lying over there on the other side of the room, staring at me through the dark. She knows it was the truth tonight. That she's going to die and that I'm going to kill her. That quarrel. I shouldn't have let her know. I lost my temper. Stupid. I must think clearly. How am I going to kill her? It mustn't look like murder, because they'll suspect things then. No, it must be suicide. How? When? It'll have to be soon now that she knows. There. Listen. She's starting again. She's singing that hymn again. That hymn. I must be calm. Mustn't get excited. Must think clearly. How am I going to kill her? I wish it were over. I could go back then. Back to David. How quickly she saw through that I'd go back in our place. He'll never suspect. Because I'll be Ellie to him. Ellie, cured and happy again. I'll learn to smile. First she must die. How? Stairwell. She gets dizzy if she looks down into the stairwell. Yes, it'll be so easy. In a day or two, that policeman will come back to the house. They'll find her, and they'll think it's me. Of course. The stairwell. 3 floors from the attic here. 3 floors straight down. So easy when you think clearly. The stairwell. Of course. Ellie, dear. Ellie, you mustn't cry anymore. Do you hear me? Are you afraid of the dark? Well, I'll light the lamp for you, dear. There. That's better, isn't it? Why, you're shivering. Are you cold? Well, come along, put your wrapper on. We'll go down to the parlor and light a fire. And I'll make you a nice cup of hot milk. Come along, Ellie.
No.
Oh, Ellie, stop acting like this. Now, come, dear. Here's your wrapper. Put it around your shoulders. That's the girl. Get up now. I'll carry the lamp. Give me your hand, dear. Oh, you're as cold as ice. Now be careful. Walk slowly. There we are. Now hold on to the banisters, dear. That's right. I'll hold the lamp up high so that you can see better.
I'm afraid. The stairwell.
It's right here, dear. You see.
I'm afraid.
Oh, Ellie. Ellie, you must get over that fear. Look, Ellie. Just look down. There's nothing to frighten you. Look down the stairwell, Ellie.
No.
I'm holding you, dear. Just lean over and look down. You can see all the way.
No, don't make me look. Don't make me.
You see? Nothing, is it? Nothing at all.
No.
Are you dizzy, dear? I'm holding you.
Let me go. I can't stand it.
Come closer, dear.
No.
Closer, Ellie.
No.
Lean over.
No.
Just look at her. Do you hear, Ellie?
Let me get back.
Look, Ellie.
No.
Look down.
No.
Now, Ellie.
No, let me
now,
go.
Ellie. Lean over. Look down, Ellie. Look down.
A very strange thing, yes. It was brought to my mind, of course, because this is the house, just here, the next one we're coming to. Yes, she was in to see us just a few days ago. Came in to order the casket. She saw a casket she wanted, and then she told me it was for herself.
Well, she must have had a premonition.
Yes. I notified the police, of course. She said she wanted me to hold the casket 3 weeks. Then, just the day before yesterday, the police came back to the house here and found her lying at the bottom of the stairwell, dead. She'd been dead about 2 days.
Funny how she knew.
The banister up on the attic floor broke away, and she fell.
She have any people?
No, lived alone, they tell me. We're going to bury her tomorrow. Haskell, her name was.
Haskell. That's strange, living all by herself here in a big 3-story frame house.
Yes, isn't it?
Hey.
What is it?
My imagination, I guess. I could have sworn I saw a light in the attic window just now.
Well, it couldn't have been. The police have shut it up.
Of course. That story of yours really gave me the creeps. Come on, let's walk on.
What a queer thing the power of suggestion is, to be sure. You've conveyed it to me, of course. You know, just now I thought I could hear someone upstairs in there. A woman. A woman singing.
A woman?
Yes. Sort of crooning to herself. Some kind of a hymn.
And so closes The Sisters, presented by Roma Wines, and starring Ida Lupino and Agnes Moorehead. Tonight's tale of suspense.
In just a moment, we'll hear again from Miss Lupino. In the meantime, here is a true-life suspense drama. Your guests raise their wine glasses to their lips. Your reputation as a host hangs in the balance. Will they approve the wine of your selection? Well, no need to feel the least bit concerned if you have elected to serve any of Roma Wine's many different types of taste-delighting California wines. Perhaps the tangy, appetizing Roma Sherry, or the richly satisfying Roma Burgundy, or the delicately delicious Roma Sauterne. And notwithstanding, your cost for any of these good Roma wines is only pennies a glass. Your guest's verdict is sure to agree with this verdict of wine connoisseurs of many lands.
Roma wines son verdaderamente magníficos.
Les Roma wines sont vraiment magnifiques.
Roma wines are truly magnificent. Let me repeat the name, please. R-O-M-A. Roma wine. Made in California for enjoyment throughout the world.
This is Ida Lupino. It is my sincere hope that you enjoyed our suspense play this evening. Miss Moorhead and I trust you will join us in listening to Suspense next week, when Charles Ruggles is your star. One more word. Remember, Americans, this is the critical year of the war, calling for more of everything to win. You answer the call when you buy more war bonds.
Miss Lupino will soon be seen in the Warner Brothers picture, In Our Time. Suspense is produced and directed by William Spear. Tonight's play was written by George Wells. Don't forget, then, next Monday, same time, Charles Ruggles will star in Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wine, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Mutual presents The Mysterious Traveler. This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can. For in a few moments, you're going to meet a ghost, the strangest phantom that you ever heard of. But first, I want you to be my guest on a little train ride. We're running at 60 miles an hour on open track in the dead of night. Now we thunder through a sleeping village. Then beyond it, we plunge into the waiting mouth of a tunnel. We race through the tunnel and into the open again. Over a trestle and on into the night. A little world of our own, rushing forward resistlessly, a symbol of power and speed and life. Yes, trains do have a life of their own, as you'll see in the unusual ghost story that I call The Locomotive Ghost. My story starts some years ago in a hilly region of western Pennsylvania. It's almost midnight, and two men laden down with several handbags are moving cautiously over the rough ground beneath a railroad trestle. They come to a spot beneath one end of it, and there in the darkness, they stop and turn on a flashlight.
All right, we can sit down and rest now.
Are you sure this is the right spot?
Of course I'm sure. This is the loading spur. It branches off at a mine entrance. Main line's over there, about 100 yards away.
How long do you think we'll have to wait?
5 or 10 minutes. These mine trains don't run in a minute the way they do out in the main line.
Suppose the money isn't on the mine train. They might have changed their plans.
It'll be on it. Those miners are waiting for their pay, and the treasurer's bringing it himself. Plus bonus money and cash for operating expenses. Big haul, my friend. $200,000.
$200,000? That's a lot of dough, but...
But what? You getting cold feet?
No, of course not, but... Well, they'll be killed, won't they? The crew on the train?
Forget it. I thought you were turning soft on me now after I spilled the whole plan to you.
No, Joe, I'm not turning soft. Joe.
What is it?
Thought I heard a noise then. Over there.
It's just your imagination. Oh, you're right. Somebody's coming. Keep the light steady. I got my gun handy.
Who could it be?
It's probably just a bum. They often sleep under this trestle. All right, you stop where you are.
It's only me, boys. Just old Boomer.
Who?
Old Boomer, that's all. Looking for a place to bunk. Howdy, boys.
It's okay, Tom. I heard of this guy. So you're old Boomer, huh? The one they call the king of the bums?
Not the king, son. Just the travelingest one of them all. 50 years I've been riding the rods, and I guess I've covered 1,000,000 miles of track. Mind if I sit down here? Got kind of ache in my bones.
Sit down if you want to.
Thanks, son. Say, you fellas ain't bums. You're dressed too good.
Never mind about us. Curiosity ain't healthy.
Old Boomer never fights with anybody. Live and let live's his motto. Listen, here comes number 25. It's a mighty fine train, 25. Got a 16-wheel Mikado engine, can pull 20 cars at 80 on a level track. She's 50 seconds late tonight.
Do you know every train on the tracks?
Pretty near, son, pretty near. I ain't rode 'em all. I rode 'em all, from the Lackawanna to the Santa Fe. There ain't much about trains I don't know. Say, you fellas wouldn't have a little nip handy to take the chill out of an old man's bones.
No, we ain't got a little nip handy.
Sure, son. There's no harm in asking. There's the 25 passing Minesville now. Ain't that whistle far off in the night a sweet, mournful sound, though?
Yeah, it is kind of mournful.
Sounds far off and ghostly, don't it? Well, sometimes it is a ghost you hear, not a real train at all.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying that sometimes when you hear a train whistling far off and mournful in the night, it ain't a real train at all. It's a ghost train.
Ghost train? It's a lot of hooey.
You just think so because you're young and don't know better. But old Boomer can tell you. There's ghost trains and plenty of them. They're the ghosts of trains that died in wrecks. Anything as live as a train is bound to have a ghost live on after.
All right, can the chatter. You're hurting my ears.
Let him talk, Joe. It helps pass the time.
All right, but if you ask me, he's spouting a lot of bushwhack.
Go on, Boomer. What were you saying about trains having ghosts?
Yeah, I've seen 'em many a time. They're running the tracks with all lights out, going faster than the wind. Not a sound coming from 'em. I've seen the Heavenly Express, too, a couple times.
What's the Heavenly Express?
It's a special train, son. It's on the Earth to Heaven run. Travels 1,000,000 miles a minute when it gets up speed. Takes the souls of railroad men from this world to the next. It always passes by when a wreck's gonna happen.
That's enough talk. I'm sick of listening to you.
All right, son. You don't believe me, but I know what I know. Glory be. I hear it coming. I hear it coming now.
Hear what coming?
The Heavenly Express. It's coming down this track. Listen.
I don't hear anything.
There's nothing to hear.
It's passing right by overhead. Now it's slowing. It's going to stop. It's never stopped before. That means the wreck's going to be here.
Joe, he knows.
That's it. That's what you're here for. You're going to wreck that mine train.
Hear that, old man? That's a mine train turning into this spur. You're right. We're going to wreck it.
No, you can't. You mustn't.
But before we do, we got to take care of you. And this is how we're going to do it.
You shot him.
I guess the Heavenly Express stopped for me, too. I sure hope so. But you fellas, it'll punish you. It'll follow you, sure as I'm laying here.
Oh, follow us. What are you talking about?
The Judgment Special. It punishes fellas that wreck trains on purpose. It runs any place has tracks. And it follows them until it gets them, one way or another. Because murdering a train is like murdering a man. You got to pay for it. And you'll pay for it. You think I'm crazy, but you'll see. You'll see.
Yeah, that shut him up. Crazy old coot.
I wish you hadn't killed him, Joe.
Don't be a sap. Couldn't let him live to tell what he knew, could I?
No, of course not.
Listen. I hear the mine train coming. We just got time to get ready now. Put the suitcase with the dynamite against the trestle here. That's it. Now, come on, help me unroll a wire.
Yeah, sure, Joe. Anything you say.
That's it. Keep coming.
All right.
We gotta get plenty far away. Hear the train now?
Yeah, I hear it. I can see the headlight, too. Look how bright it is.
Okay, this is far enough. Take me just a second to hitch up the detonator. There it is. Now we're all ready.
It's on the trestle now. Almost halfway across.
What's the matter? You sound shaky. Listen, Tom, you're in this now, and it's too late to back out, you hear?
Yeah, I know. It's almost across.
All right, then I'll close the detonator. Now, there she goes.
3 hours later, the two men, Joe Malone and Tom Henderson, were driving eastward through the night, far from the scene of the train wreck. Between them on the seat was a large handbag, and Joe Malone at the wheel patted it lovingly.
$200,000. Ha! You realize that, Tom? We got $200,000 riding here between us.
Yeah, I know.
What's the matter? You don't sound very happy about it.
Sure I am. It's just...
Just what?
Well, I can't help remembering the crash when the mine train went into the ravine. The way the whistle kept screaming, just like the locomotive was something alive that was being killed.
Oh, for Pete's sake, the whistle valve got stuck when the engine crashed, that's all.
Sure, I know that, only... Well, I just can't help remembering it. Joe, the crew were all killed, weren't they?
Suppose they were. What do you care? You're as nervous as an old woman. I should never have rung you in on this job.
I'm all right, really I am, Joe. Listen, what are you going to do with your $100,000?
I'm heading for the big town. Gonna have one swell time. Gonna buy new clothes, stay at the best hotel in town, and really cut loose. Meet me in New York, I'll show you a real time.
Where are you gonna stay?
Mrs. Miller's boarding house. It's over on the west side. You can find it in the phone book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just staying there till I can buy some real classy duds. And I'm moving to Park Avenue. Always had a yen to live on Park Avenue. Now I'm gonna see what it's like.
Yeah, sounds all right. Maybe, Joe, look out, that train!
What'd you do that for? Why'd you grab the brake? You stalled us right here in the middle of a railroad crossing.
I had to, Joe. The train on the track there in front of us. We almost ran into it.
What are you talking about? There wasn't any train on that track.
But there was, running without lights and not making a sound.
You're crazy. I tell you, there wasn't anything in sight, not even a handcar.
But I saw it, Joe.
Never heard of a train running without lights. That proves you're crazy.
Well, maybe it was an empty. But if I hadn't stopped the car, we'd have smashed into the side of it.
Yeah. I good mind to suck you one. Now we're stalling a railroad track, and the car won't start.
I'll get out and push. Joe, look! A headlight!
Real train this time, coming around the bend. It's not 200 yards off.
Joe, it's gonna hit us. We gotta jump.
Yeah, but this door won't open. It's stuck.
Come on, out this side. Come on, I got the bag.
Oh, my coat's caught in the car door. I'm stuck. Help me.
I can't, Joe. Jump! Jump!
Help me, Tom. Help! Help me! Help!
Mister, you all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. But my friend, he must have been killed.
Yes, he sure was. So when do you get away? Look at your car. There's pieces of it spread a quarter mile up the track. Whatever made you stop right there on the crossing?
Car stalled. Who are you?
I'm the crossing watchman.
Watchman? Why weren't you on duty? Why didn't you signal there was a train coming?
Because I didn't know it, mister. That was the wrecking train taking doctors down to Mineville. It was unscheduled.
Oh, I see. What about the other train, the one that went past going east just before the wrecking train hit us?
Other train?
Yeah.
Well, no other train due through here till 6 a.m. this morning.
I saw it, I tell you, traveling without lights.
No train ever travels without lights. It's against the law. Say, are you drunk?
No, I'm not.
Where you going? Listen, I got a report to make on this. You got to fill out a form.
Forget it, I'm not interested. Getting away from here. I'm going to New York.
Late the next afternoon, Tom Henderson reached New York. Not knowing where else to go, he hunted in the phone book for Mrs. Miller's boarding house that Joe Malone had mentioned and went there. Mrs. Miller gave him a room on the top floor, and there he carefully locked in the closet the precious handbag that held $200,000. All of it his since Joe's unfortunate death. After that, Tom went out to see New York's nightclubs. But he got back after midnight, feeling considerably more cheerful.
As he was about to unlock his door, Mrs. Miller appeared in the hall.
Oh, Mr. Henderson.
Oh, yeah, Mrs. Miller.
I was waiting for you, Mr. Henderson.
Huh?
It's turned so cool that I lit the gas heater in your room.
Well, thanks a lot.
I just wanted to warn you that you...
What was that?
What was what, Mr. Henderson?
That whistle just now. What was it? A boat out in the river?
Oh, that was a freight train, Mr. Henderson.
Freight train? Here in the heart of New York?
Well, yes. They come down the west side elevated tracks to the freight yard downtown. They run past just a few yards down the street.
I didn't know that. I wouldn't have come here if I had.
Oh, I'm sure they won't bother you, Mr. Henderson. Really, they won't. Well, good night.
Good night. Oh, Battle Axe. She's sure they won't bother me. It's too late to find someplace else where I'd leave here right now. I'll close the window. I'll keep the sound out. Anyway, suppose I can hear a train or two. But I'm going hearing them do me. I'm going to go to sleep and forget it. Yeah, forget it. I've got $200,000 and my whole life ahead of me. Should let an old coot like that Boomer worry me. Joe's getting killed by a train was just an accident. Could happen to anybody. Me, I'm alive. Tomorrow, I'm going to start enjoying it plenty.
All aboard, son. We're leaving in 1/1,000,000th of a second, and we gotta be on time.
Boomer, it's you.
That's right, son. You gotta wake up and get aboard. We're pulling out.
Well, I'm at a railroad station someplace, but everything's so misty I can't see much.
No time for talking, son. Gotta get aboard.
Yeah, but I'm the only passenger, except for you and me, there isn't another soul in sight. And you're wearing a conductor's uniform.
They promoted me. Now, come on, get aboard.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I don't like trains. I don't want to go anyplace.
Can't help it. This is a special trip just for you. And you got to be aboard. Come on now, up those steps. That's it. Now we're off, right on time to the 1,000,000th of a second.
Where are we going? What train is this? Why, it's completely empty except for me and you.
That's right, son. It's a 1,000-car train pulled by 30 engines. And you and me are the only ones aboard.
But where are we going? What train is this, anyway?
It's the Judgment Special, son. And we're bound from this world to the next.
No!
Yeah, or any place there's tracks, the judge up right outside your window and took you aboard.
I don't want to die. I don't want to.
You haven't any choice, son. You're on the Judgment Special, and we're hitting 1,000,000 miles a minute now.
What?
Look out the window. There's the earth way down below us. See it?
Yeah, but I don't want to leave it. I don't want to go.
Look at the stars flash by. We're going 1,000,000 miles a minute, and it'll take us all eternity to get there.
Yep.
Here, I'll put the wind up so you can see better. There you are, son. There's the earth we left. That tiny little dot of light way up in the sky.
Oh, I won't go with you. I won't.
Hey,
I won't.
What are you doing? Get down. You can't jump out that window. We're going 1,000,000 miles a minute.
I will jump. I'm not going with you.
Come back. Come back.
Wake up, Mr. Henderson. Wake up. Wake up.
What is it?
Oh.
What is it?
Oh, Mr. Henderson, thank heaven you're still alive. I thought you were dead for sure.
What happened?
Well, you closed your window. I meant to warn you that with the gas heater on, you must leave it open. Why, you almost suffocated in your sleep.
I almost suffocated?
Yes. If I hadn't heard you trying to get your breath and hurried in and opened your window, you'd have been dead now, for sure.
The rest of the night, Tom Henderson spent sitting on a bench in the nearest park, shivering at the nearness of his escape. The next day, he bought himself an expensive wardrobe. Then he checked into the biggest hotel on Park Avenue. There, just before he retired, He took a sleeping tablet.
Yeah, that fixed it. No dreams for me tonight. Some layout. So this is what you can enjoy when you have money. And I'm going to enjoy it. I've been letting my nerves get the better of me. Not anymore. Feel better already. So out goes the light. I'm gonna sleep like a millionaire. Yes, just like a millionaire.
And so Tom fell asleep. But unfortunately, he did dream. And he knew he was dreaming, but he couldn't wake up. It was a very curious dream indeed. He dreamed that he got up and dressed, rode down in the elevator, that he walked out into Park Avenue, and there, down the street, he found a tiny door which he entered. It led down a flight of steep iron stairs to a dark tunnel far beneath the ground. There in the tunnel, a man was waiting for him. The man turned, and he saw it was his former pal, Joe Malone.
Hello, Tom.
Joe. Joe, it's you.
Yeah. I've been waiting for you, Tom.
But you're dead. I saw you killed.
Maybe I'm dead. Maybe I'm not.
You're dead. I know it. It's just a dream. I gotta wake up.
Can't wake up. Don't you understand? You're never gonna wake up.
I will.
Oh, Tom. Now come along with me. I'm here to guide you.
Where? Where are you taking me?
Down this tunnel. See how it stretches out? On and on. Now it keeps going down and down.
No.
What do you think it goes to?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
Come on now, Tom. I can't wait all night.
No, I won't go. I'm gonna wake up.
You can't, Tom. The night I was killed, you saw the judgment special. Now you can never get away from it.
It's not true. It's the dream. I'm safe in my own bed in the hotel.
And you refuse to come with me?
Yes, I do. I refuse.
Listen, Tom.
Listen to what? I don't hear anything.
Listen. It's closer now. You hear that? That's the judgment special, Tom. Coming through this tunnel.
Train. It's a train coming.
And where are you going to go? You're in a tunnel, Tom, and no way out.
It's just a dream. It can't hurt me.
It's coming closer, Tom. It's coming closer.
No, it's only a dream. I gotta wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up, mister.
Oh. Thank heavens I'm awake.
I'd say not any too soon either.
But, who are you? So dark and carrying a lantern.
Oh, my, mister, I'm a track walker.
Track walker? What do you mean?
I mean that I inspect the track here under Park Avenue.
What? How did I get here?
Why, mister, a minute ago I found you walking in your sleep, your eyes tight closed down this tunnel right under Park Avenue.
Park Avenue?
If I hadn't met you, you never would open your eyes again, because number 10 is due along here in 3 minutes.
Then it wasn't a dream. I really am in a railroad tunnel. Yes, I am.
I'll say you are. How you got here, I don't know, unless you came down one of the inspection doors from the street. But, brother, if this walking in your sleep is something you do often, take my advice and see a doctor.
But Tom didn't go to a doctor, for he knew what a doctor would say. That it was his nerves, his guilty conscience. Now Tom felt he had to get away, far away to a place where there were no trains to haunt him. At dawn, he bought a ticket on the first plane leaving for Canada. That afternoon, he found himself in a tiny town deep in the heart of Canada. There he hired a French-Canadian guide to take him by canoe far into the woods, away from any trace of civilization. Late that night, they arrived at the cabin where the guide lived with his wife. Tom unpacked his suitcase and joined the guide and his wife on the porch. For the first time since the wrecking of the mine train, Tom felt at peace.
Oh, this is something like it.
It is peaceful, is it not, monsieur?
Yeah.
Ah, monsieur's nerves are better already.
Yes, this is what I need. How far is it to the nearest railroad?
It is 80 miles, monsieur.
80 miles. Old Boomer said it traveled anywhere there were tracks. 80 miles ought to be enough.
Pardon? I do not understand.
Oh, never mind. I've got to get some sleep now.
Of course. Good night, monsieur.
Good night, monsieur.
What was that?
What was what, monsieur?
That That whistle, then. It sounded like a train whistle.
Impossible. It must have been an owl.
Yeah, sure. Sorry I bothered you. Good night.
Tom entered his room and went to bed, but he could not sleep. He tossed and turned, and at last got up and dressed.
Oh, the moon is bright. I'll take a little walk. Gotta calm myself down. There's nothing to worry about now, not a thing. Out here in the wilds, I'm safe. Perfectly safe.
Tom left the cabin and entered the woods. They pressed thick around him, but an open passageway through the trees attracted Tom. He started down it, the moonlight illuminating his way. He paused and made a startling discovery.
Why, I'm walking on old railroad ties. And there are tracks here, all rusted and loose. But the guide said there wasn't a railroad closer than 80 miles. He lied to me. He tricked me. A train. There's a train coming. It's coming toward me. There's a headlight. I gotta run. Run! Run!
Marie!
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça, Pierre?
The nervous one. He is not in the cabin. He has wandered off into the woods.
Oh, that is strange.
We must go after him. Hurry before he does himself an injury.
It's still behind me. Still following me. I can't run anymore. I can't go any further. I gotta stop.
The judgment special, son. It runs any place there's tracks, and it follows you till it gets you. Because murdering a train is like murdering a man. You got to pay for it. You think I'm crazy, but you'll see. Here it comes, son.
No! No!
He cannot be far now, Marie. See his footprints. He was running for half a mile.
He will do himself harm running so hard in his darkness. Look, Pierre. Voila.
Yes, it is the nervous one. We have found him. He's lying face down. Wait, I will turn him over.
Pierre, he lies so still. Has he done himself an injury?
No, Marie. There is not a mark on him. Yet his face, it is twisted with fear.
Pierre, is he dead?
Yes, Marie, he is dead. Oh. His heart, he killed himself by running, no doubt. But what was it he ran away from? There is nothing dangerous in these woods.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Poor Tom. The tracks he found himself on led to an abandoned logging camp. They hadn't been used in 20 years, and no train could possibly have run on them. Except a ghost train. But of course, none of us believes in ghosts, so we'll just have to accept the coroner's verdict, which was heart failure induced by overexertion. Just the same, if you ever see a train running without lights and going faster than the wind, don't be too sure it's only your imagination. And next time you hear a distant, mournful whistle in the night, Oh, all this talk about trains is making you nervous, and you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. Shall we say next week at the same time?
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. In today's cast were Maurice Tarplin, James McCallion, Joe Julian, Bryna Rayburn, and Cameron Andrews. Original music was played by Charles Paul. The Mysterious Traveler is written, produced, and directed by Bob Arthur and David Cogan. Listen next week to a tale titled
The Man the Insects Hated.
Another strange and shivery tale of the Mysterious Traveler. The Mysterious Traveler has come to you from our New York studios. Carl Caruso speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System. Mutual presents The Mysterious Traveler.
This is The Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope that you enjoy the trip, that it thrills you a little and chills you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can. Tonight we're going to join Bill Storm, a newspaper reporter, on the strangest manhunt ever conducted, or should I say woman hunt, as he searches frantically through a great city for the most dangerous and deadly woman you've ever imagined. In the story I call The Woman in Black. And now here is the story as Bill Storm himself wrote it down when he began to be afraid that maybe he was going to succeed in his hunt for the woman in black.
My name is Bill Storm. I'm a newspaper reporter. And I'm writing this because I have a date tonight. A date with a gorgeous brunette with big dark eyes and the smoothest, softest voice in the world. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Well, I'd like to believe she's nice, but I can't. In my heart, I know she's the most dangerous woman in the world. Up to a week ago, I'd never even heard of her. A week ago, the day of Rusty Dean's funeral. You know, the big shot gambling slot machines. Killed by a solitary gunman while stepping out of his nightclub. They didn't catch the killer, but they gave Rusty the biggest funeral since Prohibition. I was on the rewrite desk that afternoon. My best friend, Tom Jervis, was covering the funeral. And along about 4, he phoned in. First, he gave me all the dope on the funeral, and then he started telling me about some brunette he just met. He was always a sucker for brunettes.
Bill, she's a knockout. Big black eyes and the smoothest, softest voice in the world. I want you to meet her.
Oh, blonde's more my style, Tom. Anyway, you're supposed to be working. Or have you forgotten?
I am working. Listen, Bill, I've got a front-page story here. Theda led me to it.
Who did?
Theda, that's her. Theda, Theda. Just like Theda Barra, the old silent picture star.
Oh.
Well, this is how it happened, Bill. I was watching the crowd at Rusty's funeral. I spotted a trim little number all in black, whispering to Joe Nelson.
Well, who's Nelson?
Joe Nelson, a small-time thug. Well, anyway, she moved off. I thought she might be a relative of the deceased, so I asked Joe about her. He claimed he'd never seen her before. That all that she'd said to him was 4 o'clock at the Banner Bar and Grill.
4 o'clock at the Banner Bar and Grill? Sounds like a message.
That's what Joe figured. Only he decided that she'd delivered it to the wrong guy. Well, I sort of wanted to see her again, so I persuaded Nelson he needed a drink. We slipped around the corner here to the Banner Bar and Grill. Sure enough, she was here waiting for us.
Now, Tom, watch yourself.
Bill, you've got the wrong idea. She's a perfect lady.
Yeah? What about that big story you claimed you had?
I'm coming to it. But honest, Bill, I want you to meet Theda. You'll go for her. Hey, look, I'm going to put her on the phone to say hello. Here she is. Theda?
Hello, Bill Storm.
Hello, Theda. Is that your real name?
Yes. Don't you like it, Bill?
Well, sure I like it. What's the rest of it? Any girl my sidekick goes overboard for, I'd like to know her name.
There isn't any rest of it, Bill. Just Theda.
Oh, nobody is just one name. Not these days.
Sorry, Bill. It's all I've ever had. Here's Tom again.
Listen, Bill, I'm going to fix up a date with her for you. But here's the story that I promised you. Joe Nelson has been getting quietly plastered. And from what he's let slip, I'm positive he's the gunman who killed Rusty Dean.
He is? Well, then hang on to him.
I am. You get a car, come down here. We'll smuggle him up to the office and work on him. Maybe we can get the whole story out of him.
I'll be there in 15 minutes. Keep buying him drinks till I get there. What's the address?
It's on the corner of 5th and Spruce. Bill, 2 men just came in the door. They got Tommy guns. They're after Joe Nelson.
Tom, what happened?
They just mowed him down. Theta's gone. She slipped away when they came in. I think she fingered him for them. Yeah, that explains everything. Bill, they're coming over toward this phone booth. They're going to shoot. Bill!
Tom!
Bill, they've got me. But find that girl. She knows who they are. She's working with them. So long, Bill.
I was there in 5 minutes, even before the police got there. The place was deserted except for the 2 dead men. Joe Nelson, the gunman, and Tom. Tom, my best friend, led to his death by a Delilah in a black dress. Well, the police didn't find the gunman who did the shooting, so I set out to find the girl, to track them down through her. Once I found her, she was going to talk plenty. I began the hunt by calling on the man who had been Rusty Dean's chief lieutenant and was running his enterprises now, Nick Murray.
Sit down, Storm. You said you wanted to talk to me. What about?
Murray, did your boys kill Joe Nelson this afternoon?
My boys? No, Bill. Why should they?
Maybe because it was Nelson who bumped off Rusty Dean.
He did? How do you know that?
You mean you didn't know it?
Listen, if I'd known that Nelson would have been dead long before this.
I figured that. That's what made me think that you were in the clear.
You haven't told me how you know Nelson killed Rusty.
Well, he had a few drinks this afternoon. He let it slip out to Tom Jervis, my sidekick. Just before those 2 hoodlums riddled them both. A brunette named Theta put Nelson and Tom on the spot for them.
A brunette named Theta? I never heard of her.
Oh, I hoped you might have. A good figure. Deep, dark eyes, low, soft voice. Looks like a lady.
Some lady if she works with a bump-off gang. No, I never heard of her. But if she's working with any local mob, I'll hear about her all right. If any of my boys run across her, I'll let you know.
Thanks, Murray. But warn them. If they meet her, watch out. She's pure dynamite. Well, that was one lead that got me no place. So next I dropped in on Captain Hughes, the head of homicide, to ask if the police had gotten any fingerprints off the glass the girl had been drinking from before the shooting started.
Sorry, Bill. No dice.
You mean you didn't get anything from the girl's glass?
Not a thing. You see, she hadn't touched it. None of the liquor was gone.
Well, now that proves that she wasn't on the level.
Not necessarily, but well, I've issued orders to have her picked up if she's found. Not much to go on, though. We tried to get a description from Gomez, the waiter who served them, but...
But what?
Well, he says he didn't get a good look at her. When she slipped away, he didn't even see her go.
Some eyes he must have had. I suppose he didn't even see the shooting.
Not much of it. He dived down the cellar steps when it started. He's in Civic Hospital now.
Well, I'm going out there to talk to him. He must have noticed something. Oh, and so long, Captain, and thanks. It wasn't much of a lead, but it was all I had. It was pretty late by now, and when I got there, the hospital had settled down for the night. They put Gomez in a ward, and outside the ward, I found a nurse on duty. The blonde kid who turned as I came up.
Oh, good evening. You looking for someone?
Yes, my name is Storm. I'm looking for a patient named Gomez.
Gomez? Oh, yes, broken arm and internal injuries.
How is he? Is he awake?
Yes. He's feeling badly, complains of pains in his chest.
Well, if he's awake, I want to talk to him. This is police business. What bed's he in?
The last one, down by the far door. But I'll have to ask the doctor if you can see him. Will you wait here?
She disappeared down the hall, but I didn't wait. The ward was dark, except for a couple of dim lights. I started for the far end, and then I saw her. She was just a figure in a black dress bending over the last bed. But it was Theta, all right. It had to be. I tiptoed down the room. She was talking to Gomez, and he was moaning a little.
It hurts, doesn't it, Gomez? Yes, of course it does. But it'll go away soon.
He mumbled something, and then he reached for the glass on the table beside his bed.
A drink of water? Of course. Let me help you.
She helped him lift the glass to his lips, and then I knew what she was up to, and I yelled, Gomez, grab that glass, don't drink out of it. He dropped it all right, but it was too late. He'd already drunk from it. He turned to stare at me, his mouth open, and she moved toward the door right beside her. I ran after her, but it was too late. When I reached it, she was gone, swallowed up in a dark hall. I knew it wasn't any use hunting for her, and I turned back to Gomez. In my impatience, I grabbed his shoulder. Gomez! Who was she? What did she want?
Mr. Storm, you're not supposed to be in here. What are you doing to my patient?
I'm going to make him answer me.
Take your hands off him. He's not going to answer any questions for you tonight.
And I say yes.
I'm afraid not, Mr. Storm. He's dead.
Yes. He was dead, all right. The only possible witness who could have led me to her, and she eliminated him. And then I knew that whoever she was and whatever her game was, trying to find her was going to be about as safe as moving into a den of rattlesnakes. I put in a bad night trying to figure it all out. Next morning, when I got down to the paper, my eyes looking like two holes burned in a bladder, I hunted up my editor, Harry Holloway, in the city room.
Well, look at Frankenstein. What happened to you, Bill?
Oh, I'm all right, Harry. Listen, anything new come in about those thugs who killed Tom?
Not a thing. Paper's needling the police, but, well, so far, no results.
And there won't be either, till we find that girl in black. She's the key to the whole thing, I know it.
Aren't you getting a little hipped about that girl in black? After all, she may be perfectly innocent.
Oh, yeah? Then how do you explain her killing Gomez last night, just before I could question him?
Bill, are you sure you didn't imagine you saw her at the hospital? After all, nobody else did. Not even the nurse.
Imagine it. I heard her talking to him. In a soft, honey voice, as if she was bringing him flowers instead of poison.
Yeah, that's another thing. The hospital autopsied Gomez. Found no trace of poison. They claim it was internal hemorrhage and shock that killed him.
Sure, the shock of a nice, healthy slug of poison in his glass of water. Suppose they didn't find anything. They weren't looking for it, that's all. Harry, look, I saw her kill her.
Okay, you saw her. Now what?
I want to be relieved of all assignments until I find her, that's what. She's in this city, and I'll run her down inside a week. Or I'll quit calling myself a reporter. A week, I said. Didn't take any week to find her. Not that girl. She got around too much. I saw her again just 1 hour later. It happened like this. I went back to my apartment, and I dropped into a chair beside my window. And I started trying to figure my next move. Now, I have an inside room, and the window looks right out on another building across an air shaft, not 10 feet away. I've been sitting there about half an hour when, out of the corner of my eye, I saw someone in the room directly across from me come to the window and stand there, looking over at me. It was a girl in a black dress, wearing a cute little hat with a black veil down over her eyes. And as soon as I saw her, I knew it was Theda. Don't ask me how I knew, I just did. Standing there with a 10-foot air shaft separating us. Well, I did what I could. I turned so that she couldn't see what I was doing, and I got Captain Hughes on the phone. He said that he'd have the building surrounded if I could keep her talking for 5 minutes. Well, I hung up the phone, and I turned back toward the window, trying to act casual. Hello, Theda. Looking for me?
Hello, Bill. No, it's just accidental that I'm here. But you're looking for me, aren't you?
Her voice did something to me. I can't explain it. It sounds crazy for a hard-boiled crime reporter to say, but it seemed to get down inside me and twist things all around. Why, a minute ago, I had hated her. And now... Well, now I knew why Tom had gone overboard about her. I said something, anything to keep her talking. Why, yeah, Theda, I've been looking for you. You're a hard girl to find.
I have to be, Bill.
But why, Theda? Look, you're just a kid. What kind of a racket are you mixed up in, anyway?
I'm sorry, Bill. I can't answer that.
But listen, you could be anything you wanted. You don't have to be mixed up with murder.
Then you think I'm a murderer?
Oh, what else can I think? Last night you killed that poor devil at the hospital. I saw you.
Yes, I know. You wouldn't believe me if I told you you're wrong, would you?
Oh, I'd like to, Theda, but I can't. I can't.
I'm sorry, Bill. Someday you'll know the truth. Now I have to go.
Oh, no, wait. Let me look at you. I think we met someplace before. Yeah, it was Chicago. I can't remember where.
Please don't try to, Bill. And don't try to find me anymore. Now, goodbye.
Oh, no, wait. But she was gone. And then somebody else appeared at the window. A window washer. He started to climb out on the sill to fasten his belt to the safety hooks, and I yelled at him, "Hey, you! That girl who was there, stop her!"
You made a little number in the black dress?
Yeah, where did she go?
She went out just as I come in. But...
Well, go after her. Grab her. She's wanted by the police.
Hey, listen, mister, I'm here to wash windows, not to chase dames. If the police want to, let them catch her. Now, quit bothering me. I got a job to do.
Hey, look out.
Huh?
Your safety hook.
No!
Right in front of my eyes, he fell 15 floors. I saw the safety hooks break as he leaned his weight against them. And then I knew why she'd been there. She'd been there to weaken those hooks, to make sure that poor devil fell and killed himself.
Well, Storm, we didn't get her. She slipped through our fingers somehow.
But she was there, Captain. I saw her. I talked to her.
Ah, she was there, all right. We found a handkerchief in the room, a woman's handkerchief. Initial J on it. Heavy perfume. Here it is.
Lilac. It's drenched in lilac. But look, the initials J. She said her name was Theda.
She was kidding you. But she did the job, all right. Those safety hooks had been filed away to nothing. One of the local mobs is trying to get control of the window washers union. That's why she was killed. Intimidation. Sweet little lady, that one. Hey, but Storm, the elevator boy who took her up says she was a blonde, not a brunette.
He was crazy. Her hair's as black and soft as midnight.
Getting poetic, aren't you? I wonder if you're still as anxious to find that girl as you were.
What? Of course I am.
Yeah?
And when I find her, she'll get what's coming to her. That's what I said. I didn't know for sure whether I meant it or not. I just knew that I had to find her again. For 4 days, I combed the town for that girl. And then, 2 nights ago, as I was walking home, just about midnight, I ran into Dutton, a cop I knew, looking down the dark street and scratching his head. Hello, Dutton. What's the matter? You see a ghost?
Oh, hello, Mr. Storm. No, but I got a funny feeling I just saw that girl Captain Hughes once picked up.
You did? Where? When?
Just a minute ago. I was walking my beat when this dame comes past me, all dressed in black, and she smiles at me.
Yeah, go on. What happened then? Where'd she go?
Down the street. She turned into that door down there.
Well, come on, then. If she's still there, we gotta get her. In 30 seconds, we were standing before the dark door that Dutton said the girl had turned into. It was partly open.
That's the door, Mr. Storm. But that's the entrance to a first storage loft. Why would she go in there?
I don't know, but we'll find out.
Well, better let me go first. I got a gun here. I'll see what's going on inside.
He pushed the door open, stepped into the dark hall. And then I heard him call out.
Hey, lady, I want to talk to you. Hey, you up there. Put down that fur. Put it down.
Dutton! Dutton! Who shot you? Was it the girl?
No. She was just standing there. It was 2 guys upstairs. Hijacking the furs. They...
Dutton! Dutton!
But listen, Storm. You say you didn't see her. Then how do you know it was the same girl?
I know, Captain Hughes. She was acting as a lookout for those fur thieves. She deliberately lured him in there to his death.
Maybe, or maybe not. I'm seriously beginning to doubt if it's the same girl mixed up in all these cases. I think it's just a theory. Your theory.
I'll prove it to you. She's definitely mixed up in these rackets. And by now, Nick Murray and his boys must have learned something about her. I'm going over there now and find out. When I got to Murray's club, one of the boys showed me up to the office.
Hello, Storm. Come in and sit down.
Thanks. I will.
Can I fix you a drink?
No, thanks.
No?
I just wondered if you'd picked up any trace of that girl I was asking you about.
Theda? No, the boys haven't turned up a thing. Look, are you sure you're not just imagining her?
That's what the police are beginning to think, too. But I'm not, Nick. She's real, all right.
Listen, if there was any such girl working in this man's town, I'd know about her by now.
Unless she's awful smart. And it looks like this one is. Oh, well, I guess I'd better go and get some sleep. I need it.
Oh, before you go.
Yeah?
I don't know anything about the girl, but tomorrow I may be able to tell you who killed your sidekick, Tom Jervis.
You may?
Yeah.
When?
Well, I won't have the dope until tomorrow night. If you'll meet me around 10, I can give it to you.
I'll meet you. Just say where.
You know the Tambourine Bar on 3rd Avenue?
No, but I'll find it.
Okay, there's a back room. Meet me there about 10. And come alone.
About 10?
Right.
I'll be there. I went home, but I didn't get much sleep. I was too keyed up. About 3, I got up and I put on a dressing gown. I sat down by the window to smoke. And then, behind me,
Hello, Bill Storm.
I turned, and she was there, standing in the doorway. I started to get up.
No, stay where you are, Bill. Unless you do, I'll leave.
Theda, why have you come here?
You've been looking for me so hard, Bill, I thought I ought to.
Look, I won't touch you or try to make you stay, but let me get up and fix you a drink.
I'm sorry, Bill. I can't stay. But I did want to tell you the time has come when you can know the truth about me.
You mean you're going to tell me who you are and why you've done what you did?
Everything, Bill. But not tonight. I'll see you again tomorrow, though.
When? Where?
You have an appointment, don't you, with Nick Murray at 10 o'clock?
Oh, yeah. At the Tambourine Bar. How do you know? Are you working for him?
No, Bill, I'm not. I don't work with anyone.
Yeah, but Theda...
Please don't ask me any questions now. I can't tell you anything until tomorrow night. Good night, Bill.
Oh, no, wait. You can't go yet. But she was gone. By the time I reached the door, she was out of sight. So I went back to bed, but I didn't get any sleep. I was groggy, punch-drunk. I knew she was guilty, but I wanted to believe she was innocent. Well, now I'm going to learn the truth. I'm waiting in the back room of the Tambourine Bar. It's almost 10. And I'm just finishing this report that I started this morning. She should be here soon. So should Nick Murray. If what she tells me satisfies me that she's innocent, I'll tear this up. But if she isn't, well, I'm going to find out because she's coming through the door now.
Hello, Bill.
Hello, Theda. You did come, didn't you?
Of course I came, Bill. You believe bad things about me, don't you?
Oh, yes. How can I help it?
Believe me, Bill, I'm not wicked. Look at me and see if you really think I'm bad.
She lifted her veil then. And for the first time, I saw her face clearly. It was just as I thought it would be. A beautiful face. With dark eyes that I could see into deeper and deeper, like looking into the heart of the night itself.
Now, Bill, do you really think I'm wicked?
Oh, no. No, I don't. I've been wrong. But who are you then? What's your connection with these murders?
You'll know in a moment, Bill. I have to leave you, just for a minute or two. Just while you talk to Murray. He's coming now.
She slipped out one door while Murray came in the other. Nick closed the door behind him and sat down.
Well, I see you're on time, Storm.
Yes. If you can tell me who killed Tom Jervis, I want to know.
That's what I'm here for. 2 of my boys killed him.
2 of your boys?
That's right. You see, Joe Nelson killed Rusty Dean on my orders, so I could take over. Then I saw your friend trying to pump Joe. I couldn't very well afford to take chances. I had to get rid of both of them.
I see. That explains a lot. What about the girl?
I don't know a thing about her. I think you just made her up as an excuse to come asking me questions.
Oh, no. No, I didn't. She's real.
I know better. Because you did see a girl in that apartment where the window washer fell, but not a girl in black. You saw Janice, my girl. She filed those safety hooks, dropped that handkerchief the police found.
She did? You mean you had that fella killed?
Yes, Storm. Just a little business deal I'm interested in. And last night I decided you were getting to be a nuisance. That's why I'm telling you all this now. Because you're not going to pass it on.
Oh, no. No, put that gun away. You can't get away with it. You...
Goodbye, Storm. We won't be meeting again.
Theda, help me. Call a doctor.
I'm sorry, Bill, I can't. But it won't hurt long.
Theda.
Yes, Bill.
I recognize you now. I know where I saw you that time in Chicago.
Yes, Bill, I knew you'd remember.
No, stay away from me.
Bill, don't be afraid of me.
No, stay away from me. Stay away.
Bill, come back. You mustn't run away from me. Come back. Come back.
No, I won't. You're not going to get me like you did the others.
Mr. Storm. Mr. Storm, can you hear me?
What? Where am I? You're a nurse.
Yes. You're in Civic Hospital. You were brought here an hour ago, shot in the chest. You were found crawling down 3rd Avenue by policemen.
Oh, yeah. I remember. Nurse, take this down. Nick Murray shot me.
What?
Get word to the Morning Ledger.
Certainly, Mr. Storm. Now, please lie quietly while I get the doctor. I'll only be a minute.
Hello, Bill.
Hello, Theda. You followed me here.
Yes. You shouldn't have run away, Bill.
I did it because I remembered where I saw you last. In Chicago. The time I was in a taxi accident. I saw you in the other car just before we hit. 3 people were killed.
That's right, Bill. You did see me then. And now you know who I am.
Yeah, I know. Now I understand why you have to be around when people die. You don't kill them. It's just your job to be there. But I never expected you to be a beautiful girl.
Why not, Bill? Just because people think of me as an ugly old man with a scythe, does that make it true? I'm not really ugly, you know. I'm not someone you have to be afraid of.
Oh, no. And I'm glad you're beautiful. Makes it easier this way.
Now take my hand, Bill. It's time for us to go.
Yeah, sure. I'm ready.
He recovered consciousness a minute ago, Dr. Clark. I came for you at once. He seemed to be quite strong, and I... Dr. Clark! He's dead.
This is the mysterious traveler again. So that was the secret of the girl in black. Theda, a strange name. Theda. I wonder if Bill ever did realize that those are the same letters that spell death. But he did what he set out to do. He learned the truth, and he avenged his friend, and he... Oh, you have to get off here. I'm sorry. But I'm sure we'll meet again. I take this same train every week at this time.
You have just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. In tonight's cast were Maurice Tarplin, Chet Stratton, James Van Dyke, Wendell Holmes, Mort Lawrence, and Joan Tompkins. Original music was played by Jack Ward. The Mysterious Traveler is written, produced, and directed by Rob Arthur and David Kogan. Listen next week to a tale titled
Death Wears My Face.
Another strange and shivery tale of the Mysterious Traveler. The Mysterious Traveler came to you from our New York studios. Carl Caruso speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Lux presents Hollywood. The Lux Radio Theater brings you William Powell and Myrna Loy in After the Thin Man. Ladies and gentlemen, your producer, Mr. Cecil B. DeMille. Greetings from Hollywood, ladies and gentlemen. When Edgar Allan Poe popularized the detective story, he found the great common denominator of American entertainment. Millions of us have stayed up past bedtime to explore the fascinating realm of whodunit, including the President of the United States. And you can find devotees in every walk of life, rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief, and probably policeman, too. Perhaps we haven't investigated this branch of the drama quite as often as we should in the Lux Radio Theater. But when we do engage a manhunter, we get the very best. Tonight, our play is After the Thin Man, adapted from the MGM picture, and naturally starring the same two players that go with a Thin Man story, Myrna Loy and William Powell. It's an occasion for great rejoicing, but we also must hang our heads a little, because it's exactly 4 years since Miss Loy was last at this microphone. There's more to the story of After the Thin Man than just the exciting quest of a criminal, because our detective is the extraordinary Nick Charles, and Nick has a lovely wife named Nora. They happen to be very much in love. But even love can't keep Nora from interfering with her husband's business when she has an idea. And Nora is a girl with many ideas. Together they can solve just about any problem you give them. But you don't really need a detective to discover that Lux Flakes is the simple answer to your household problems. It's a deduction that millions of women have made after giving Lux Flakes a trial. Now, if your wits have been thoroughly sharpened and you're ready for anything to happen, we'll raise the curtain on the first act of After the Thin Man, starring William Powell as Nick Charles and Myrna Loy as Nora. The railroad station in San Francisco. Into the dim maze of tracks rolls a mighty streamliner, sleek and shiny after its mad dash across the country. With a final throb of its powerful engines, it comes to rest. From the gate tumbles a crowd of reporters and photographers. They rush breathlessly up and down the length of the platform, eager to be the first to greet the arriving celebrities, Mr. and Mrs. Nick Charles.
Where's Nick? What car is he in?
He's probably in that car over there.
Come on, let's get a statement from him.
Is Nick Charles in this car?
Charles, 2 cars back.
Thanks.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Nick.
Hello, Nicky. How does it feel to be home?
You going to stay with us a while now?
I'm from the Chronicle, Mr. Charles. Can I have a statement?
Easy, guys, easy. One at a time. Darling, these are the gentlemen of the press. Gentlemen, my wife.
Glad to know you, Mr. Charles.
How do you do?
How's about a statement, Nick? Are you going to keep on with your detective work? No, gentlemen. I've retired. Now on, I'm just going to take care of my wife's money. So I'll have something in my old age.
Oh, you said you'd retired before, but I noticed you took that Thin Man case in New York.
Yeah, that Thin Man was a beaut. They're still talking about it.
You'd take a case like that now, wouldn't you?
Not a chance. I just took that to please my wife. She wanted some excitement. Well, I guess you had it, Mr. Charles.
Oh, it was wonderful. 2 men tried to kill him. But he's not going to take any more cases. You can print that.
That's the girl. So long, gentlemen. Come on, darling.
Goodbye,
Nice to meet you, Mr. Charles.
Goodbye. Nice to have met you. Nick, slow down. I can't keep up if you're going to...
Excuse me, lady. I guess I wasn't looking where I was going.
No, I guess you weren't.
Hiya, Fingers.
Well, Nick Charles. Well, how are you?
Fine. How's business, Fingers?
Business? Oh, I quit that racket.
Nick, my purse. It's gone.
Oh, that's a shame. Nora, I want you to meet Fingers McCoy. This is my wife, Fingers.
Your wife?
Mm-hmm.
Say, I didn't know she was... Oh, I'm sorry about your purse, Mrs. Charles.
What'll I do, Nick? I know I had it with me.
Oh, it'll turn up. Won't it, Fingers?
I certainly hope so. Sure. Well, so long, Nick. Glad I bumped into you. Goodbye, Mrs. Charles.
Goodbye. Nick, I've got to go back to the train.
Oh, I wouldn't bother, darling. Let's get home.
I just can't go off.
Come on now, come on. You don't want to embarrass him, do you?
What do you mean?
Fingers. He's a purse snatcher. Think of his feelings.
A purse snatcher? Well, he must have taken it.
Certainly, but you see, he didn't know you were my wife. You'll get it back in our morning mail, darling. He's a very honest pickpocket.
Oh, Nick, you do know the nicest people.
Hiya, Nick. Welcome home.
Hiya, Bumps. How's the boy?
Never better, Nick. In the pink.
See you around.
A prize fighter, darling?
No, wrestler.
Oh, a wrestler. Well, that's different.
Hiya, Nicky. What's a good word?
Well, hello, Slats. How's everything?
I'm doing okay. Glad to see you, pal.
Likewise.
Now, there's a sweet character. He ought to be in jail just to play safe.
He got out last Tuesday.
Oh. Welcome home, Nora. Oh, hello. Thank you.
Nice to see you, my dear.
Thank you very much.
Now, who are those people, darling?
You wouldn't know them. They're respectable.
Oh.
You know, darling, the best thing about going away is coming back home.
I suppose you remember that tonight is New Year's.
I know. Got your keys, darling?
Yeah. I also suppose you've got some ideas on the subject.
Very definite ideas.
I was afraid of that.
I want to lock the doors and plug the bells, cut off the telephone, and crawl into bed for months.
Mrs. Charles, you're a woman after my own heart. I won't be awake at midnight, so I'll kiss you now. Happy New Year, Nora.
Happy New Year, darling.
Hiya, folks. What you standing out there for? Come on in.
Hey, what is this?
Well, it's our house, all right.
Come on. Make yourself at home, folks.
Well, let's go in, darling. He says it's all right.
Oh, well, as long as we're invited.
There's the bar right in there. Help yourself.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
What's the celebration?
We're giving a surprise party to Nick and Nora.
Nick and Nora?
Sure. Don't you know Nick and Nora?
No, we don't.
Neither do I. But that's not going to spoil my fun. It's New Year's, so what's the odds? Go on in. Fake it. It's a cinch.
Oh, thanks for the tip.
Sure. Get in there and get some of that Napoleon brandy before it's all gone.
Oh. May I have this dance, Mrs. Charles?
Thank you, sir. You're a gent. Who are all these people?
Well, now, let's see. That looks like Mo Stone over there. He's a bookie. That fellow with him is a police captain. And I believe the gentleman in the loud suit runs the pool room. That fellow in the fireman's hat...
Never mind. I get the general idea.
Mrs. Charles, welcome home, madam.
Thank you.
How are you, Peters?
Never better, Mr. Charles. I'm sorry about the party, sir, but they forced their way in.
Yeah, knowing my friends, I can believe that.
Nick, I smell something burning.
Probably just the living room rug or,
If I may be allowed to suggest, sir, that's probably Mrs. Charles' aunt. She's been calling all day and very much annoyed. She wants you to come to dinner this evening, Mrs. Charles.
Oh, dear.
Goodbye, darling. See you next year.
She expects you too, Mr. Charles.
Me? Aunt Catherine wants me to come to dinner?
Well, there must be some mistake. She couldn't want you, Nick. I'll take it in the bedroom, Peters. Nick, come with me.
If it's your Aunt Catherine, get out of it. No more family dinners. I wouldn't go through that again if you had twice as much money.
Hello?
Hello, Nora.
Who is this?
This is Selma.
Oh, hello, darling.
Darling, Aunt Catherine?
Shut up. It's my cousin Selma. How are you, Selma?
Nora, I had to call you. I wanted to make sure you were coming tonight.
Well, I'm afraid not, Selma. You see...
Nora, you've got to come. I'm in terrible trouble.
What?
Please, I can't tell you now, but you must come. I'm desperate. Oh, wait a minute.
Selma, put down that phone.
I won't. I'm speaking to Nora.
Hello?
I told you not to call anyone.
Hello, Selma.
Give me the phone. Hello, dear.
Hello, is this...
How are you, Nora? This is Aunt Catherine.
Well, what's the matter with Selma?
Oh, nothing at all, dear. You know Selma well enough not to pay too much attention to her. We'll see you tonight, Nora.
Well, you see, it's New Year's Eve, Aunt Catherine.
The old battle axe.
Shut up.
What?
Excuse me, Aunt Catherine. I was talking to the dog.
Oh. We'll expect you at 7:30.
All right, Aunt Catherine. We'll come. Goodbye.
What did you say?
I said we'd be over for dinner.
Oh, my own wife.
I'm sorry, Nicky, but I had to do it. It's Selma. She's in trouble. You like Selma, don't you?
Not as much as that.
But she sounded so funny, as if she'd been crying.
Living with your Aunt Catherine, I can't say I blame her.
Selma, stop that crying. Do you want the servants to hear you?
I don't care, Aunt Catherine. I'm going crazy. I can't stand it any longer. I'm going to call the police.
You'll do nothing of the sort. Haven't we paid out enough to hush up his other scandals?
He never did anything like this before. How do we know but what he may be dead?
I told you I'd handle this.
I can't go on this way. Robert's my husband, and
Be quiet. Yes, Henry?
Beg pardon, madam, but shall I set a place for Mr. Robert tonight?
Certainly. Mr. Robert will be here.
Very good, madam.
You know he won't be here, Aunt Catherine.
I know nothing of the sort. Now go upstairs and make yourself presentable.
When Nora comes, I'm going to tell her.
You will not tell her. I will not have that husband of hers snooping into our family affairs.
I don't care. He can help us. I'm going to tell him the whole story.
Nick. Aunt Catherine wants to speak to you.
What did I do now? Use the wrong fork?
Nick, listen. Do you know why Robert wasn't here tonight?
Sure, because he's smart.
I'm not fooling. He's disappeared.
That's swell. Now, if we could only get rid of Aunt Catherine, we'd be all set.
Come on. She's in the library with Selma. Here he is, Aunt Catherine.
Oh, Nicholas, I'm sorry to take you away from the family.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, it's quite all right. Well, what's all this about, Selma? How long's Robert been gone?
3 days. 3 days without a word.
You notified the police?
Certainly not, and we're not going to. Oh, no. Robert may be kidnapped. He may be lying dead somewhere, but we mustn't do anything about it. Our precious name might get in the paper.
Oh, don't pay any attention to her. She's exaggerating the whole affair. However, to please her, I thought you might investigate the matter quietly. With your experience as a
flatfoot?
And I didn't mean to be as blunt as that.
Why not? It's all in the family.
Selma, have you any idea where Robert might be?
No, but there's a woman mixed up in it. I know it.
Selma, you know nothing of the sort.
What about the vanity case they sent me from that Chinese restaurant?
It was a stupid mistake on their part.
Mistake? Some woman left it. He was there with some woman.
Selma, you know that Robert worships you.
How can you say that? You know he hates me. He only married me for my money. He never did love me. Sometimes I wish he were dead.
Well, I'm a little confused. Tell me, Selma, do you want him back or don't you?
Of course she wants him back.
Don't, Selma, please.
Come, Selma. I'll take you up to your room. Dr. Keller will be here in a moment. He'll give you something for your nerves. Excuse me. Nora, Nicholas.
Well, Nick, what do you think about it?
I'm not thinking at all. What are you getting me into? There are lots of detectives in this town, men who need the job.
But no one as good as you, Nicky.
That won't get you a thing. I've retired.
But this is different. This is for Selma. You will help find Robert, won't you?
Why? I didn't lose him.
It's your chance, Nick. It'll get you in right with the family.
That's just what I'm afraid of.
Nicky.
Get your hat, darling. We're going to get out of here while we still got the chance. Well, where's it going to be? It's still New Year's Eve. We ought to go someplace.
All right, let's go look for Robert.
Now, listen, my sweet.
Hello, Nick. Hello, Nora.
Oh, hiya, David.
David, how nice to see you. What are you standing out here for?
Oh, they don't let me in the house anymore. Selma said she'd try and meet me later.
I'm afraid she won't be able to make it. Did you know that Robert had disappeared?
If he has, it's the only decent thing he's ever done.
What's he been up to lately, David?
The last thing he pulled on me was a couple of days ago. Called up and said that if I'd give him $25,000, he'd go away and leave Selma to me.
Lovely boy.
What did you say?
I asked him to give me a couple of days to think it over. You know, $25,000 would be cheap if he'd really go.
Why don't you take up a collection? There are a lot of people who'd like to contribute.
Tell me, did you see Selma? How is she?
I'm terribly worried about her.
I know, I am too.
Come on, David. We're going to go someplace and get the taste of respectability out of our mouths.
Thanks, but I couldn't.
Oh, David, why not?
I've got too much on my mind. Well, I'm glad you're back anyway. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Selma was a fool not to have married him instead of Robert.
They can't all be as lucky as you, darling. Well, where are we going?
How do you feel about some Chinese food?
Awful.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Because we're going to that Chinese restaurant that sent the compact to Selma, the Lai Chi. Please, darling.
Now, see here. I'm not looking for Robert.
Of course you're not. I am.
Hey, Marge. Yeah? Fella here wants a table.
Well, tell him we're all filled up.
I did. He says to tell you his name is Nick Charles.
Nick Charles? Where is he?
Over by the door.
This is more like it.
You must feel right at home in a place like this. Too bad we didn't bring Aunt Catherine.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Hello, dancer. Tell me, haven't any tables?
Oh, I guess I can find one, seeing as it's you. You just slumming?
That's all, dancer. Why?
Just wanted to make sure. I don't like business calls on New Year's. Oh, say, I want you to be my partner. Hey, Lum Key, come here. Yes? I want you to meet a friend of mine, Lum Key. This is Nick Charles.
And Mrs. Charles.
Oh, I'm your friend. You bet you. You sent his brother up, Nick. Lum Ying. Remember?
Oh, yes. He's the one who spread a tongue war out to include sticking up a bank.
Oh, you bet you. You catch my brother. You play trick on him.
No play trick on him, no catch him, you bet you. You still in jail?
Oh, you bet you. 4 5 years more. Goodbye. Have a nice time, please.
Is he a tong man, too, Mr. Dancer?
No, but you never can tell how close brothers are. I thought you might like to know, Nick.
Thanks.
He's a good guy to have liking you. Oh, there's a table over there by the wall.
This way, Mrs. Charles.
Nicky, there's Robert.
I know. I saw him before.
Why didn't you tell me? Robert? Robert.
Oh, hello. Good evening, Robert. Happy New Year. Is it?
Robert, what are you doing in a place like this? We just saw Selma, Robert.
Yeah?
She's terribly worried about you. Don't you think you'd better go home?
Sure, I'll go home. When I feel like it, and not before.
Robert.
Oh, let him go.
Got your table, Nick. Oh, is that fellow a friend of yours?
On the contrary, he's a relation.
He's been hanging around here drunk for 3 days. He's got a case on our prima donna.
I wish you'd toss him out. His wife is going crazy.
Oh, that's too bad. I'll speak to his girlfriend.
Well, I've done my duty.
Hey, Polly. Polly, come here.
What's up, Dancer?
Now, listen. That boyfriend of yours is pretty drunk.
So what? I thought that was the idea. Keep him happy.
Sure, but a couple of his relations just blew in.
Relations? What do we do?
Well, give the customers one more song and then knock off for the night and take him out of here.
Okay, but I'm getting sick of that guy.
It'll just be tomorrow, honey, and then he can turn him loose.
Tomorrow's a holiday. The banks will be closed.
That's right. Well, then the next day. What's the difference? Ain't it worth it?
I guess so.
That's the girl. I'll make it snappy, Polly. I'll keep an eye on her.
Hey, Polly.
Yeah, what?
I got a message for you.
What is it?
Your brother's looking for you.
My brother? Where is he?
In your dressing room. He wants to see you right away.
Hello, Polly. What's the matter? You don't look so happy to see me.
Please, Phil, don't try to start anything. I'm in a hurry.
You've been in a hurry ever since I got back.
Can I help it if I gotta work?
That's not what I'm kicking about. What's going on with this drunk Robert Landis?
Nothing.
Oh, no? Then what's this check doing on your dressing table?
Give me that.
A check made out to you, signed by Robert Landis.
Get out of here. What are you...
Shut up or I'll smack you right in the teeth. I'm in on this, you know.
Phil, please.
If you don't cut me in, the party's off.
I can't cut you in.
The check's yours, ain't it?
Yes, but...
But what? But what?
Let me go. Let me...
Sure. But this is just to remind you that I'm in on the deal.
You big lug. Look what you've done to my face. How am I going to explain that?
There's a lot of things you'll have to explain before I'm through. You and Dancer are taking this Landis guy for plenty of dough, aren't you?
What about it?
How much? Come on, how much?
25,000.
Did you get it yet?
No.
Go ahead, spill it.
Some friend of his wife's is putting it up to get him to leave her alone.
So you're going to keep him drunk and then collect it for him. When?
I don't know.
When, I said?
Tomorrow night.
Okay. I'll be around the next morning. Early.
What are you doing here?
Hiya, Dancer. Just leaving. So long, Polly.
What did that heel want?
Nothing. It's okay, Dancer.
Now, listen. There's a switch in the plans. I just heard that dough is being handed over tonight.
Tonight?
That David guy is meeting Landis in front of his house. Now, you better be with Landis, see?
I'll be there.
I told Nick that you were taking Landis home. Now, make sure they see you as you go out.
Sure.
And when the dough's delivered, you know what to do. I'll be across the street just in case something goes wrong. Now, get going. And no slip-ups.
And see if Robert got home.
Oh, well, come on. There must be a phone in Dance's office. He won't mind. Hello, Dancer. Come in.
What are you doing in this office?
Just calling a number. Any objections?
Once a gum heel, always a gum heel. I don't like gum heels, and I thought you'd quit it when you married a pot of money.
Did he call me a pot?
Yeah, I don't like to be critical, Dancer. But, you know, it doesn't look quite right when you and your partner and your prima donna and your best customer all go out at the same time. It gives the place a sort of a vacant look.
Have you ever been thrown out of a place, Mr. Charles?
How many places was it up to yesterday, Mrs. Charles?
How many places have you been in, Mr. Charles?
Hello? Aunt Catherine? This is Nick. Nicholas. What? When? I see. Yes, I will. Bye.
Well, if you're through in here, you can beat it.
What's the matter, Nick? Bad news?
Dancer, you'd better.
Ah, Polly, come in. Another of our travelers has returned. Now, if only Lum Key will... No sooner said than done.
Oh, someone call me?
Quite a gathering of the clan, isn't it? I wonder which one of you would be most surprised if Robert Landis walked in now. You know there's no chance of that, don't you? All of you.
Now, I don't know what you're talking about. Now, get out of here.
What is it, Nick? What's happened?
Robert's been killed.
Killed?
He was killed on the front steps of your aunt's house. Police are questioning Selma.
What's that got to do with us? Go on, get out.
You said that before, Dancer, and it's foolish. I'm not going to get out. On the contrary. We're going to have a lot more people in.
Listen, you...
Hello. Nick Charles speaking. I want to get hold of Lieutenant Abrams, the homicide squad.
Why are you calling him? It's a cinch none of us shot Landis.
That's so. Well, then maybe you'd like to explain how you knew he was shot.
The curtain falls on Act One of After the Thin Man with Myrna Loy and William Powell. During this short intermission before Mr. DeMille presents Act Two, we introduce a very charming guest. Strike up the band, Lou. That music, ladies and gentlemen, welcomes a real Southern belle, Miss Mary Nell Porter from Memphis, Tennessee. In private life, she's a debutante, but this spring she's touring the country in a very important role as Maid of Cotton, representing our huge cotton industry. We're certainly delighted to welcome you to the Lux Radio Theater, Miss Porter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roy. I'm so glad to be here.
I hear that you've been doing quite a little flying the last 3 months.
I certainly have. Over 12,000 miles.
And on top of that, I understand that you've had a staggering schedule of fashion shows and radio speeches and personal appearances in 30 different cities.
It has been a very interesting experience, and I've enjoyed meeting so many nice people all over the country. We've had such large crowds at all our cotton fashion shows.
Well, I'm sure the women want to hear about that.
And I'd love to talk about it. You know, cotton is terribly smart this year for play suits and street dresses and evening frocks.
Now, here, just a minute, please. How about giving us some details?
Well, there's a very good-looking red and white striped daytime dress with big sleeves, and it has a very full skirt with the cutest Dutch boy pockets. I wear it with blue shoes.
That sounds very patriotic.
It surely is. Red, white, and blue is awfully fashionable this year. A lot of the dresses on our show are patriotic.
I see where the stripes fit in, then.
Well, they're smart, too, and so are flower prints. My bathing suit has tropical flowers scattered all over it.
Oh, so cotton goes swimming.
I should say it does. And dancing, too. You should see one evening dress in our fashion show. It's a brilliant red muslin with large white Hawaiian flowers all over it.
Straight from the South Seas.
Well, straight from a storybook. It has the sweetest puff sleeves and a long basque bodice.
Well, tell me, is cotton all glamour?
Goodness, no. It's simply wonderful for wearing in town, too. Things like gingham or piquet or seersucker make beautifully tailored suits. They're cool as can be and awfully easy to take care of.
Miss Porter, don't you find it hard to keep all these lovely cottons fresh on your trip?
Not at all. You see, the whole wardrobe is flexible. Even some of my shoes and bags.
That makes things easy, doesn't it?
I should say so. Why, new Quick Lux Flakes are simply wonderful. They take such beautiful care of all the lovely new cottons. You know, everything safe in water is safe in Lux.
Ladies, please note, this year's smart cottons are really fine fabrics, and they must be treated gently, just like washable silks, rayons, and woolens. New Quick Lux is so mild, it keeps them new-looking longer.
That's why we use it for everything in our cotton show.
Well, we've certainly enjoyed having you with us tonight, Miss Porter.
Thank you so much. I'm mighty glad to meet you all.
Well, good night, and good luck on your trip home.
Thank you. Good night.
Now, our producer, Mr. DeMille.
Act Two of After the Thin Man, starring William Powell as Nick Charles and Myrna Loy as Nora. It's 2 hours later. With mystery shrouding the death of Robert Landis, the police have been questioning Selma, who discovered the body. Now the grilling is over, and her nerves are worn to the breaking point.
They're going to arrest me. They're going to arrest me, Nora.
No, of course they don't.
They all believe I did it. Aunt Catherine, everyone.
They don't, Selma. They don't think that at all.
I know. I heard them.
Now, darling.
But I didn't kill him, Nora. I didn't. I'm sure I didn't. I couldn't have.
What? What do you mean?
Nora, you'll help me, won't you?
Tell me what happened. Everything.
He came to the house at midnight to get his things. He said he was leaving me. I tried to stop him. He pushed me away and went down the stairs. I followed him to the front door. While he was letting himself out, I went to the library table. There was a gun there.
A gun, Selma?
I didn't mean to use it. I only wanted to frighten him, to make him come back and listen to me.
All right. Go on.
I went to the door. He was standing on the steps looking up and down the street. And then there was a shot, and he fell.
Where did the shot come from?
I don't know.
All right, darling, never mind. You've been through enough. You'd better lie down now and rest.
I can't rest. I've got to think. Nora.
Yes?
David.
What about David?
He thinks I'm guilty, too. He thinks I killed Robert.
Selma, how could...
He must think so, or he wouldn't have taken...
He wouldn't have taken what?
Nothing. But he mustn't think that. I couldn't bear it. You must tell him. Tell him I didn't do it.
Couldn't you tell him?
No, somebody might be listening. You go to him. Tell him. Hurry.
Who is it?
It's me, Nora.
Hello, Nora. This is a surprise. Come in.
I got over as soon as I could, David. Selma
What's
said
the
that...
matter? Is there anything wrong?
Oh, you mean you don't know?
No, what? What's happened?
Robert's been killed.
Killed? That's impossible.
What do you mean?
I saw him only a little while ago.
How long ago?
About 10 o'clock. I met him in front of the house and gave him $25,000 in bonds.
Wait a minute. This is too much for me. Where did he go then?
He went inside the house to get his things.
Oh, then it was when he came out again that he was shot.
I've got to see Selma. Will you come with me?
Come on.
No, you don't. Stay right where you are, the both of you.
What is this? Who are you?
Detective Malloy, Homicide Squad. We've had our eye on you, buddy. Trying to make a getaway, huh?
Are you crazy? Listen, someone's been kidding you, officer.
Sure. Remember, you were kidding, too, when you were seen throwing that gun into the river.
David.
It's all right. There's been a mistake. Tell Selma, will you?
All right.
Come here, sister. You're not telling anybody anything. You're going along with us.
Where?
Down to headquarters.
Oh, you don't understand. I'm Mrs. Nick Charles.
Oh, yeah? And I'm Mother Goose. Come on, step on it.
Hello, Nick.
Yes?
This is Abrams down at headquarters.
Oh, how are you?
Say, Nick, we picked up a woman a few minutes ago in David Graham's apartment. She claims she's your wife.
My wife?
Yeah, says her name's Nora. What about it, Nick?
Nora. Oh, sounds like a phony to me. You better put her in the jug till I get down there.
You're the doctor, Nick. In the jug she goes.
Right down here, Mr. Charles.
Thank you, Matron.
Nick, here I am over here.
Well, hello. Fine way to start the new year, getting thrown in the can.
Nicky, get me out of here.
How long has this thing with David been going on?
Oh, Nick, stop that and get me out of here. I've got something to tell you.
About the case?
Yes.
Oh, no. I'll get you out on one condition. No more cases. No more detecting. Promise?
But this is important.
Do you want me to let her out, Mr. Charles?
Definitely not.
Nicky, please.
Well, promise?
I promise.
All right, let her out, Matron.
Nick, have you been working on the case?
I've been giving it my undivided attention.
What have you found out?
Nothing.
Oh, Nick.
The only new development is that Polly has a brother. Where, we don't know.
What about her and Dancer and Lum Key?
All in the neighborhood at the time of the shooting. We've established that, but we can't prove a thing.
But, Nick, somebody killed him.
Yes, I think that's been proved.
Mrs. Charles?
Yes?
Lieutenant Abrams wants you for questioning.
Questioning? Nicky, they don't think I'm mixed up in this.
Don't worry, darling. If they find you guilty, I'll write you every day.
This way, please.
Nicky.
Now tell me, Mr. Graham, were you and Robert Landis on good terms?
Decidedly not.
On bad terms, Mr. Graham?
Very bad.
You and Mrs. Landis were once engaged, weren't you? Until Landis came along?
Yes.
Ever ask her to divorce him and marry you?
I may have. But she never said she would.
But you hoped she would. And you thought that with him out of the way, she might.
I didn't kill Robert.
No, of course not. But you did pay him to go away.
Yes.
Lieutenant Abrams, my wife.
Oh, come on in. I got to ask her some questions, Mr. Charles. I'm sorry.
Quite all right. Go ahead.
Now, Mrs. Charles, why did you go to Mr. Graham's apartment?
What?
Maybe I'd better leave.
No. Selma had a silly idea that David thought she killed Robert. She wanted me to tell him that she didn't.
Why, I can't imagine how she could think a thing like that. It's ridiculous. I haven't seen her for a couple of days.
Here's Mrs. Landis, boss.
No. Will you come in, Mrs. Landis?
David. Oh, I didn't want you dragged into this.
No, it's all right, dear.
Mrs. Landis, why did Mr. Graham think you killed your husband?
I never said that. I never thought it for 1 minute.
Don't, David. He had every right to think I did it. He's just trying to protect me. He heard a shot. He rushed up to me and saw me standing near Robert with a gun in my hand. But I didn't fire the shot. It came from the street.
You mean You didn't kill him?
No, look at the gun, David. It hasn't been fired.
Oh, Selma, forgive me.
No, of course I forgive you.
Well, that's all cleared up. Go on, Nora.
It isn't cleared up as far as I'm concerned. I've got to have something more than that. Where's that gun, Mrs. Landis? I've got to see that gun.
Well, I haven't got it.
What?
Well, David took it from me. David, where's the gun? What is it, David?
Selma, I thought you were guilty. I thought I was doing the only thing. I threw it away.
You threw it away?
I threw it into the river.
Oh, that's marvelous.
Well, they can get it. I'll show them where I threw it. I'll get divers to go down after it. They'll find it. They must.
Bowie, she don't want that gun back any more than you do. Hey, Mac, swear out a warrant for the arrest of Mrs. Robert Landis on suspicion of murder.
Nicky, are you awake?
No, I'm not.
Oh, I thought you were. Did you say something about scrambled eggs?
No, I didn't. I suppose that means you'd like me to go up and fix some for you.
Oh, no, I don't care about them.
Sure?
Really?
Good. Good night.
Good night. After all, if I want scrambled eggs, I can get them for myself. Of course, I'm not as good a cook as you are, but... Oh, well, don't bother about me. You go on sleeping. I love to watch you sleep. You look so cute. Nicky, have you any pictures of yourself taken as a baby?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. I wanted to see what you looked like.
I'll have one taken in the morning.
Poor Selma. Poor David. Nicky, can you reach the water?
Huh? Oh. Yes, I suppose so. Yes.
Oh, I didn't want it. I just wanted to be sure you could reach it.
Nora, please go to sleep.
I can't. I keep thinking of Selma down in that jail.
Darling, there's nothing to worry about. Tomorrow they'll find the gun. It won't have been fired. Selma will be free.
Then you don't think she did it?
For the 10th time, no.
You're not saying that just to make me happy. You really mean it?
Yeah, I mean it.
Of course you're right. She didn't do it. She couldn't have done it. I don't think I'd kill you if you ran off with another woman.
Thank you, darling.
I might, though.
Nora, don't be morbid. Go to sleep. What in the name of...
Nick, the window.
Keep your head down.
Nick, somebody smashed the window.
No, really?
Look, there's a rock with a note attached to it. Nicky, a note.
Let's see.
What is it, Nick? What does it say?
Silly little woman. I told her to stop writing to me.
Oh, darling. Please, read it.
Mr. Nick Charles, if you want to know something about the murder of Robert Landis, get a line on Phil Burns, the guy Polly says is her brother. He's an ex-con and was married to Polly in Topeka, Kansas 3 years ago.
Married 3 years ago?
What are we supposed to do, send him an anniversary present? Look at the way this fellow spells Topeka. Topeker.
What's the matter with that?
Nothing, darling. Good night.
Oh, Nick, you can't go back to sleep now. Phone Abrams.
What, and have him here, keeping us up all night?
Oh, don't you see? If Phil is her husband, then he shot Robert because he found out about him and Polly. Oh, Nicky, you've got to call him.
Just as you say. You hand me the phone?
Oh, isn't it wonderful? Everything's working out beautifully. All we have to do is find this fellow Phil Burns, and we've got the murderer. Here, darling, call him and tell... Now, who can that be?
Hello?
Hello, Nick. This is Abrams.
Oh, I was just going to call you.
Yeah? Well, maybe you better get down here. You know that guy, Phil Burns, Polly's brother?
Yeah, what about him?
We traced him to his hotel.
You find him?
Yeah, but somebody else found him first. He's been murdered.
Well, there he is. That's the way we found him, Nick. Dead for 2 hours at least. Strangled.
Yeah. Looks like he was beaten up a bit before the strangling set in. Any fingerprints?
All over the place. We're checking on him now.
What else did you find?
Nah, nothing much. He had a .38 in his drawer, 6 bullets in it, and a little dough. Oh, yeah, and this key. I guess it's the key to Polly's apartment. It's got her number stamped on it.
Another good guess would be that Solomon Landis didn't do this.
Fair enough. But he wasn't killed the way Landis was either.
Might be a good idea to check the chambers on that .38. He might have fired it and slipped in a new shell.
Okay. Anything else on your mind?
Yes. That key to Polly's apartment. Could I borrow that for an hour?
Sure. Here.
Maybe you better give me a skeleton key, too, just for good measure.
Okay. What are you looking for?
I haven't the faintest idea. Just a hunch. Call you later.
Okay.
Nick, what did you find in there?
Dead man.
Is that all?
Isn't that enough?
Where are we going now?
Well, I don't know about you. I'm going to visit Polly Burns.
At this time of night? Without a chaperone?
Nora, this is purely business.
For me, too. Come on, darling. She's not home. Miss Burns keeps late hours, doesn't she? Nick, where did you get that key?
From Abrams. It was in Phil Burns' pocket.
Oh, it's good you had an answer for that.
Go on in. Be quiet.
Here's a light switch.
You turn it on?
What do you expect to find in here?
I don't know.
Well, how do I know what to look for?
Don't look for anything. Go over there and sit down.
Suppose she comes in. What do?
Tell her it's a surprise party.
Anything in the drawers?
Hey, give me a chance.
Nick, what do you suppose people want a hole in the ceiling?
They don't.
Some people do. Look up there.
Where?
Up there. See, in the corner. A little hole in the plaster. What could that mean?
Well, it might mean that the ceiling's falling down, or it might...
What?
What's the number of this apartment?
3D.
I wonder who lives in apartment 4D. Let's go upstairs and find out.
Here it is. 4D. This is right over Polly Burns' apartment.
What's the name on the bell?
Anderson. Say, where did you dig up all these keys?
We're going to visit Mr. Anderson.
Or Miss Anderson. It doesn't say which. Anybody home?
Put on the light. Now, let's see. That hole in the ceiling downstairs was right under this corner. If I'm right, these floorboards ought to be loose. Uh-oh.
I get it. Somebody took this apartment so they could see what went on downstairs.
Exactly.
Look through the hole, Nicky. What do you see? Well?
That's funny.
What is it?
I can't see anything. The hole's been plugged up from the other side.
What? But how...
There's somebody down there now. Somebody who knows about this peephole. Whoever it is plugged it up while we were coming upstairs.
Nick.
You stay here.
No, Nick, it may be the murderer. Nicky, wait.
I've got to see who it is.
Listen, whoever it is just left. I can hear him going downstairs. Nick, let him go.
All right, we've got to catch him before he gets to the street.
Nick, wait for me. Well, did you see who it was?
No. He went through that door at the end of the hall.
That must go to the cellar.
Wait here and don't move.
Nick, be careful. It's black as pitch down there.
Right back, darling. Would you like to come on upstairs? Or do I have to come and get you? All right. Have it your way. Come on, I can see you over there. Come on out or I'll...
Nick, are you all right?
I'm okay. Come on down.
I can't see. Nicky, did he get you?
No, but I didn't get him either. He got out through a window over there.
Oh, darling, I was so scared. Where are you? Oh, put your arms around me, darling. Are you sure you're all right? Oh, Nicky, you're bleeding.
What are you talking about? I'm not bleeding.
Nick, where are you?
I'm here.
Well, then who's this man over here?
You have just heard Act 2 of After the Thin Man with William Powell and Myrna Loy. During this brief intermission before Mr. DeMille presents Act 3, we bring you another story about Mary.
She's washing dishes. Oh, boy, is she mad. I say, look at her hands. They're all red. And coarse. Here, let's see your soap, Mary. Oh, it's harsh. And soap that's harsh pecks away at your hands. No wonder they're red and rough. Here's a friendly tip.
Try New Quick Lux. It's so kind to your hands, so mild, so pure. I want you to hear about our one-hand test of 5 dishwashing soaps, including Lux. Now, here's the story in the words of one of the women who took the test, Mrs. Hugh Rennie of New York. She says,
For 20 minutes, 3 times a day, and that's just about the time I spend doing my own dishes, I dip one hand in Lux suds and the other in suds from another soap.
Mrs. Rennie took that test for several weeks under conditions similar to home dishwashing. She goes on to say,
At the end of the test, my Lux hand was still nice and smooth, while the other hand was coarse and red. I hadn't realized there was such a difference in dishwashing soaps. I'll never use anything but Lux.
Hundreds of women took that one-hand test with similar results. It proved Lux kindest to hands. Try it yourself and see. Ask for the generous large box of New Quick Lux tomorrow and use it for dishes every day. It's so thrifty. Even in hard water, it gives more suds, ounce for ounce, than any of 10 other leading soaps tested. It's fast, too, yet it costs you no more. Remember, New Quick Lux in the same familiar box. We pause now for station identification. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The curtain rises on Act 3 of After the Thin Man. In the thick blackness of the cellar, Nora has bumped into a man she thought was Nick. Now she discovers her mistake, and Nick rushes to her side. With quick, tense fingers, he strikes a match. There, in the wavering light, a man stands, propped against the wall. As they stare at his gleaming white face, he slumps to the floor at their feet.
Nick!
All right, take it easy.
What's the matter with him? Is he...
Yeah. He's dead. Shot.
But when was he? I've seen that man before.
You know him? Who is he?
Light another match. Quick.
Well?
Of course I know him. His name is Pedro Dominguez. He used to be my father's gardener about 6 years ago.
Your father's gardener? Oh, that does a lot of good. Come on, we better call Abrams. What'd you find out, Lieutenant?
Was I right about his name?
Yes, you were, Mrs. Charles. Pedro Dominguez. But he wasn't a gardener anymore. He was janitor of this building. Probably shot about 5 hours before you found him. But here's a very funny thing.
Go ahead. We can stand a laugh right now.
The telephone company tells us that about 11:30 last night, that'd be just before he was shot, someone here called up information and asked for Nick Charles' number.
Our number? What would Pedro Dominguez be calling Nick for?
I don't know. Do you, Nick?
I can't imagine. I haven't even heard his name for 6 years.
Did you remember him when you saw his face?
No.
That's funny, seeing he used to be Mrs. Charles' gardener.
Who remembers a gardener unless he squirts a hose at you?
Did you recognize him right away, Mrs. Charles?
I had to look twice. He's a lot grayer than he used to be.
By the way, what did you find out about the person in the apartment over Polly Burns?
Not a thing. Not a fingerprint in the place. Not a stitch of clothes. Only a hunk of lead pipe and a ladder.
Piece of lead pipe and a ladder. Well, that's interesting. Anything in Pedro's books?
No, just that someone named Anderson took the apartment a week ago, paid cash in advance.
That's all, huh?
That's all. And the name is Anderson. No front name. No Mr., Mrs., or Miss.
That's just dandy. You know, I've got a feeling that if we could just find out who took that room, we might have our murderer.
Well, what do you think we ought to do?
Get them all together in the Anderson apartment. Everyone that's mixed up in this. Let's shake them all up and see what happens.
You're on.
Are you going to take the murderer tonight?
Yeah, we're going to try.
How are you going to do it, Nicky?
I haven't the slightest idea. I'm just going to listen. Pray that somebody makes a slip. Just one slip.
Lieutenant, you get them all here? All set and waiting, Nick. Picked up Dancer and Lumkey at the Lychee. Polly was with them. Then there's that David Graham guy and your wife's cousin, Selma Landis.
Anyone else?
Yeah, a fat dame they call Aunt Catherine. I brought her along for luck.
Swell.
Oh, say, before you go in, I checked Phil Burns' apartment. Dancer's fingerprints were all over the joint.
Dancers, you sure?
Sure, I'm sure.
You haven't told him, have you?
Not yet.
All right, don't.
What's your plan, Nick?
Build up a case against each of them. Throw all we've got at them and throw it hard enough to bounce.
I'll make it bounce, all right.
And keep them talking.
Nick, come on. The party's getting dull.
Coming? Good evening. Shut that door, please, Lieutenant.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, I asked you all down here because we've just found that another murder has been committed. He's a man I think you all know. Pedro Dominguez.
Pedro killed?
Yes. What do you know about it, Polly?
Nothing. I only saw him a couple of times when I went down to pay my rent.
What about you, Dancer? You're in and out of this apartment. You must have known him.
Sure, I know him. So what?
You, Lumkey?
I never been in this house before.
You knew him, Selma.
Well, no, I don't think
You remember Selma. He was our gardener 6 years ago.
Oh.
David, you remember Pedro Dominguez.
Yes, vaguely. A man with long white mustaches.
What did you know about him, Mr. Graham?
Nothing. That was 6 years ago. I haven't seen him since.
Nicholas, I can't see what possible connection this can have with us.
It's very simple, Aunt Catherine. You see, Pedro and Robert were both shot with the same gun.
I have nothing to do with it.
Now, there was some monkey business going on we want to find out about. Seems that 1 week ago, Pedro rented an apartment to someone calling himself or herself Anderson. Did you ever see this Anderson, Polly?
No.
Did you ever hear anyone in the apartment just over you?
No.
I thought not. This Anderson intended to climb down into your apartment one night with the aid of a ladder and polish off Robert with this lead pipe. Then he was going to climb up to his place again and leave you holding the bag for Robert's murder. Now, do you know anyone who would be interested enough in you to do that?
Why, no.
You're Dancer's girl, aren't you?
I work for him.
That's not what he asked.
Well?
Did Dancer know that you were going away with Robert?
Why?
Come on. You told us before.
You said you'd keep that a secret. I'll never trust a cop again.
If you made a dicker with the police, okay, Polly. But that ladder stuff's a lot of malarkey, Nick. No one did come down that ladder, and Landis wasn't killed in her place.
The only reason the murderer didn't kill him that way was because he was found out. Pedro came in yesterday to clean up Anderson's apartment and discovered the loose boards on the floor. He didn't like the looks of things, so he put a new lock on the door. When Anderson came in, he found he was locked out. He heard Pedro telephoning me, and he killed him.
So what?
So, who is Anderson?
I'll bite. Who?
Polly. Phil had a key to your apartment, and Dancer had one.
Yeah.
Who else?
Nobody.
He's trying to hang this murder up on us to protect his own family. That Selma dame. She knocked her husband off. Everybody knows that.
I didn't.
And then you got your boyfriend, David, to throw away the